not in the inner nature of a human being. Each man is potentially divine. So leave aside all the introduction, spice introduction about me, all that he said, all the, Kavalata problem entante, they use metaphors, similes and exaggerations, right? Poetry is slightly different from reality. What he said is a poetic reality, right? When you look at a thing or any person or anything through lens of poetry, you have a tendency to enhance the reality, amplify the reality. Especially when the poet is full of love, another problem. Love is like a convex lens, It's an amplified reality, not the realistic representation of reality, right? So therefore, I have to cut it down to original size. It's a reality refracted through the prism of love and poetry, right? So it is for you to get the correct picture. Mentally, you have to make your own psychological adjustments and look at me as I really am, not as I am thought to be. That is more important, So in a word, I am not anything that you are not. Sentence is clear. I am not anything that you are not, We're all co-travelers. The path of our journey, sharing each other's tears and smiles, so that journey becomes joyous. And nothing more, nothing less. Right. ఇంకేమేం చెప్పారు ఎగ్జాజరేషన్స్ ఏవో చెప్పారు చాలా. ఇంకా పోయిటరీ ఏమేం చెప్పారంటున్నా నా గురించి తెలుగులో. కవిత్వాలు చదివారు, రకల తెలుగు పోయిటరీ అవన్నీ కూడా. పోయిటరీ ఇస్ వెరీ ఫ్యాసినేటింగ్, ఎఫెక్టివ్ ఉంటుంది, కానీ ఎక్కడో రియాలిటీ కాస్త ట్విస్ట్ అయిపోతుంది. కాబట్టి పోయిటరీ ఆ కాన్వెక్స్ కుంభాకార కటకాన్ని పక్కన పెట్టి ఉన్నది ఉన్నట్లు చూస్తే బాగుంటుంది. సరే, ఇవన్నీ కూడా అనవసరం క్వశ్చన్ ఆన్సర్. అవర్ హోల్ గోల్ వాస్ టు లుక్ అట్ ఈచ్ అదర్, స్పెండ్ సమ్ టైమ్, హ్యావ్ టీ అండ్ డిస్పర్స్. సో హీ మేడ్ ఇట్ ఇన్విటబుల్ క్వశ్చన్ ఆన్సర్ సెషన్, రైట్? దర్ వాట్ ఆర్ కాల్డ్ ఎటర్నల్ క్వశ్చన్స్, టిల్ యూ డై. దేహం ఉన్నంతవరకు సందేహం అంటారు కదా, దేహం ఉన్నంతవరకు సందేహం ఉంటుంది. ఇలాగే కాబట్టి క్వశ్చన్స్, డౌట్స్, దే కోఎగ్జిస్ట్ టుగెదర్. Doubt is greater than, questions and answers, they coexist together. It's because of the question there is an answer, right? Therefore, question is the mother of all answers. What do you say? But for the question, there wouldn't have been any answer, The very fact that America has got so many Nobel Prizes, India couldn't get as many prizes as USA could, Maybe have small idea about Nobel Prize, Nobel Prize. India is a noble country, no doubt about it, but few Nobel Prizes, very few. Any idea how many got? Most of your Indians, our India got? Your former India? Exactly. 10 all put together. Original Nobel Prizes, 3. 1912, Tagore for Gitanjali. Then C.V. Raman for Raman effect. Then recently Amartya Sen for economics. Original Indians who got Nobel Prizes. మిగతా వాళ్ళంతా బయట నుంచి వచ్చి ఇండియాలో స్థిరపడ్డ వాళ్ళు, ఇక్కడి నుంచి బయట స్థిరపడ్డ వాళ్ళు, లైక్ మదర్ తెరెసా ఆర్ అరగోవింద్ ఖురానా. That is totally 10. How many now? Your USA, the great USA. Some of you must be knowing already. Some make some guess. 413 Nobel Prizes, including last 413. The only reason why USA could so many Nobel Prizes, which India couldn't, not the kind of reason that you imagine, not the difference in the intelligence level, Intelligence is more or less same for Americans and for you. What distinguishes them from us is the tendency to question, sense of wonder. Don't you call it inquisitive mind, Telugu jignas antam, inquisitive mind, irrepressible burning desire to find out what you do not know, the tendency to question, sense of wonder, coupled with observation, clarity, experimentation. That is science. Somehow, most of the Americans, though not all of them, have these, that finally resulted in getting so many Nobel Prizes. But their inventions are made use of all the people. Even if John Baird invented TV, don't all of us use it, Wright brothers, Ohio, Columbus, near Columbus, they invented flight, but all of us are using. Alan Turing, all of us using computers, So that way, it doesn't matter who invents. But this is the reason. In other words, everything goes back to question, tendency to question, right? Generally, some people don't encourage in some systems, They want you to be good boys. Just listen to me, don't question, Right? So that way, now question is the mother of all answers. Question is greater than answer. The person who can ask a wise question is greater than the person who gives wise answer, which means you are greater than the speaker. Now, if you have any questions of any sort, if you ask, I try to answer, though I fail to convince or may not fail to convince. The problem with the speaker is this, special question answer session. If a question, answer must be, before that let me say something about you. Most of the listeners don't feel hurt, most, not all, are disguised speakers who are denied a chance to speak. Very good. So you are denied a chance to speak, therefore you are there, In other words, most of the listeners are disguised speakers. They sit as judges, Rather than object will assess what is said, The judge, this is good, that's good, he is there, wrong, he is right, That kind of a tendency we have, So when Pakan Beteste, if there are any really genuine questions, we together try to answer. Because you're living in a country which is famous for science, So any question, if it is raised to any answer, if it is raised to scientific status, there will be a lot of clarity, If you give subjective answers, they don't impress you much. So here in America, the speaker's problem is, if you put a question, the answer must be immediate, If you begin to scratch your head, you doubt, there is no answer, You're trying to find an answer. You don't know the answer, trying to find, Answer must be immediate, and it should be relevant to the question. You cannot give any answer, Is it really relevant to what you ask? 2. 3, that answer must be logically convincing, But just to give answer, it's not enough, These are the problems of the speaker. Another problem is this heterogeneous audience, Your intellectual levels are not same. Your experience is not same. So what pleases one may not please others. What somebody can understand may not understand other person, These difficulties are inherent. You cannot avoid them, Right? So that is a question. So let me begin with a silly question to you so that you begin to ask. They're all science students. They're all doing science jobs only, most of you, except a few. Computer science, this, that, You ask them to light a lamp. Whenever you look at a lamp, I get one doubt, The flame is flickering, right? Because of the air, What do you do when you blow it? Say, oof. It gets extinguished. Why? Carbon dioxide. I say like this, no carbon dioxide. I'm supplying more of oxygen. It should burn better. Why? The tendency to question, built-in tendency. In our system, especially when the child intro very parents, question do what I say. So by the time he's put into LKG or first class, more of the scientists is killed by the parents, knowingly or not all. There are exceptions, There are all exceptions. Your parents are exceptions. The rest is killed by the teacher. By the time he finishes his SSC, don't ask any question, be a good boy. He's a piece of chalk in his hand, he throws, or a long cane, he will hit on the head, don't question, So by the time you enter college, you are skeleton sitting in the classroom. Right? There's a problem with the questioning nature. That way, all students must create question mark, get it framed, hang it on the wall of your bedroom, early morning namaskar to question mark, then go to classes. That should be the ideal way. అంటే క్వశ్చనింగ్ అనేది ఎంత గొప్పదో చెప్తున్నారు. క్వశ్చన్ అంటే ఓన్లీ క్వశ్చన్ అనుకుంటారు. ప్రగతి లేకున్నా, ప్రశ్న లేకున్నా ప్రగతి సున్నా అంటారు. యు ఆర్ అలైవ్ ఓన్లీ యాజ్ లాంగ్ యాజ్ యు క్వశ్చన్ సైంటిఫికలీ. అదర్వైజ్ యు జస్ట్ మియర్ స్కెల్టన్ మూవింగ్ ఆన్ ద స్ట్రీట్స్, రైట్? నౌ క్వశ్చన్స్. ఏమి లేకపోతే నా క్వశ్చన్కి ఆన్సర్ అని చెప్పండి. సౌండ్ వస్తుందా? అది కొంచెం అలవాటు కావాలి, పెట్టేస్తాను. హలో హలో హలో, విచ్ ఈస్ బెటర్ ఫర్ యూ, దిస్ ఆర్ దాట్? అదే బెటర్ కదా, అదే బెటర్ అంటున్నారు. దిస్ బెటర్? Fine. Hello, hello. This or that? My vocal cords are very weak. I don't have strong larynx and vocal cords. Is my voice audible? Fair enough?
Please raise your hand. Any questions? I will come to you.
రేజ్ అక్కర్లేదు, ఊరికే మాట్లాడతారు. వినపడుతుంది. ఐ కెన్ హియర్ దెమ్. నో నీడ్ మైక్. ఎందుకు? పర్వాలేదు, వినపడకపోతే వచ్చు. ఆర్ ఆన్సర్ మై క్వశ్చన్. ఎస్, వెరీ గుడ్. మొన్నే రీసెంట్గా జస్ట్ ఫ్యూ మంత్స్ అగో మన ఎల్వి సుబ్రహ్మణ్యం గారు ఏదో దే chose me for an award. Somehow they awarded and give something, and there was small talk and came back. వాళ్ళ సన్ ఉన్నారు అండ్ ఎల్వి సుబ్రహ్మణ్యం గారు ఉన్నారు. We shared డయాస్ 2-3 times. గురూజీ
ఆయన ఏమంటారంటే, మీరు అమెరికా వస్తున్నారంటే మీరు బంగారాన్ని వదిలేసి వెండిని పట్టుకుంటున్నారయ్యా ఈ దేశంలో. పుణ్యభూమి, కర్మభూమి, జ్ఞానభూమి అయిన భారతదేశాన్ని వదిలేసి
అర్థమైతే
ఈ ఇప్పుడు కానీ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ ది లైవ్లీహుడ్స్, నేను ఆల్రెడీ 2007లో ఇండియా వెళ్ళిపోయాను. 10 years ఉంది. మళ్ళీ ఇప్పుడు పిల్లల కోసం మళ్ళీ రావాల్సి వచ్చింది. సో లైవ్లీహుడ్స్ కోసం ది సోల్ ఎలివేషన్ ఈస్ గెటింగ్ ఇన్ టు ఎ రాంగ్ డైరెక్షన్ బికాస్ ఫిజికలీ బాడీ ఈస్ ఎంజాయింగ్ అ లాట్. బట్ ఐ థింక్ ఆ బంగారం అనే పార్ట్ నుంచి మనం రాంగ్ లైన్కి వెళ్తున్నాం అంటే, బట్ హౌ డు వి ఎన్ష్యూర్ దట్ వీఆర్ స్టిల్ గెటింగ్ సంథింగ్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ దిస్? Because this is how we're all here now. We have to live here because of better prospects from job and economical backgrounds, things like that. So appreciate if you can enlighten us, sir. Thank you, Jay Sir.
India is gold, this is silver. Though it's right, is it so right? There's a question. Entire globe is one unit created by the same God. Right? Agreed? God created not just India, but the entire world, right? Any doubt about it? Created entire world. Suppose there is a sun. There's more of light on the equator than on the poles. Can you find a solution? No solution. There it has to be cold. Here it has to be hot. Right? Boston cold. Harvard. UTD hot. There's no other way scientifically. That doesn't mean this inferior to this. So the ultimate fact is we need both. This and that is the law. In dualism, remember, మన జీవితం ద్వంద్వభూయిష్టమైన జీవితం. When you cannot question death, you cannot question anything, Many people say, why suffering when there is God? But they don't say, why death when there is God, Destruction, creation, birth and death, two inevitable dualities of our life, Keeping them in view, I have to restructure everything in the light of this awareness, So unless we need both, the same God who has created gold also created silver. No different God. So which means can God be partial to one son and impartial to other son? Which means we need all. There's a dining table. The vessel that carries the rice is bigger. The rice that carries the ghee is smaller. Is it inferior? Is the need of the dining table. So the way you look at reality has to be slightly changed, have to look holistically, scientifically. Both are necessary for the dining table. Therefore, God has created. We need gold, we need silver. We need iron. Why silver? Even take iron. Gold may be more precious than iron, but iron is more needed than the gold. What do you say? If all the gold in the world disappears, nothing happens. Husbands feel happy, that's all. If all the iron disappears, imagine. Diamonds are more precious, more valuable than stones, fine. If the diamonds disappear, nothing is going to happen. Again, husbands still become happier. If all the stones disappear, it may be more precious, but a stone is more useful. Gold may be more precious, but silver, iron, they are more useful, which means we need both. Relativity is a human language, not divine language. Small blade of grass undi, bigger banyan tree undi. This is called our Dallas, right? It's Texas state. You know meaning of Dallas, anyone? What does it mean, Did you have any, did you ever feel like questioning, Inquisitive mind. Somebody was doing some sophomore or junior, senior. Sophomore? Freshman. Then he's going to sophomore. What do you mean by sophomore? You don't feel like questioning. Inherent tendency to question. Yes?
Someone who wants to know more.
No more. No more is the ultimate spiritual goal. More is ignorance. No more is wisdom. Cannot be no more is America. What you said is, Suffer more. Sophos, philosophy means wisdom. Sopha, philosophy, wisdom. More from moron. Moron means ignorant person, right? So Sohomer is the one who is both ignorant and wise, simultaneously. You may question again, how can it be so? Because you have covered freshman, you know something. You have become wiser, right? But you have yet to finish 2 more years, junior and senior. To that extent, you are moron. Sophomore, this way. That way, what was the earlier question I asked? Dallas, it's a meadow. There was a green grass on the way. The original language, the meaning of that, beautiful grasslands, Now, do you think grass is inferior to big banyan tree? It looks. Our existence needs both. Therefore, nature has created both. There's nothing like big and small, Big and small. It's as if adulthood is greater than childhood, childhood is greater than adulthood. No, we need both, If all blades of grass will if they were to disappear, nothing would happen. Or something would happen. Let us see. All blades of grass disappeared. Now no food for your sheep, goat, cow, buffalo, ox, all these things. They don't survive. In earlier days, we never had tractors to till the land. We needed oxen, right? So difficult to cultivate the land. Then even small animals like deer and rabbit, they too disappear. What will cheetah, leopard, lion, tiger eat? Dallas lo mana painiki vachestayi seminar lo. So then we too disappear. No food to eat. No ghee. Krishna temple వెనకనే ఉంది కదా, కృష్ణుడికి no butter, no ghee, no వెన్న, no మీగడ, nothing. కృష్ణుడు ఏం చేయాలి? If all the banyan trees were to disappear, nothing happens. So because it is smaller, you don't think it's smaller. Our existence needs a big banyan tree, small. If all the grass disappears and only banyan trees are there, how do our small animals climb up and eat? Impossible. So I have to look at reality in a different way. The fact that God has created all these is an indication that they have a function, simple logic. Because always your legs carry your body, that doesn't mean they're greater than the hands. Our body needs both. We need iron and also silver and gold. They have a relative role to play. So that way, both are equally needed, equally necessary for our existence. This is what is called inequality in existence. existential role. Supposing there's a small office, there's a peon, prime minister, dishwasher, district collector. Roles are different. Do you think your maid servant is less happy than you are? Try and see. Do you think your prime minister is happier than the peon in his house? Dishwasher in district collector's kitchen is happier than the district collector sometimes, though not always, Role is different, So why is different? Nature needs different roles. You need a big tree, small tree. You need gold, you need iron, you need silver. You need stone, you need diamond, Because we need all these things nature has created. Right? So, how will you justify India is gold? Not necessarily. Imagine, can you spend, honestly, one single day without depending on European or Western invention? One single day. Even cycle is not yours, Macmillan. Even pen is not yours. Scooter is not yours. Train is not yours. Flight is not yours. Your laptop is not yours. Mic is not yours. Light is not yours. Lift is not yours. Nothing is yours. Adamino light kovutulla undali. How can say it is? We need both. Our ancient India related to enrichment of the heart, right? Therefore we call it gold. This enrichment of the head, therefore we call it silver. Head and heart both are equally necessary. All these inventions because of that, head and heart, So it's a healthy combination of silver and iron. Both are necessary. You have left it because now you have to leave, In some winter, you used to wear sweaters like this. In hot summer, you don't wear, Is it wrong, కాలానుగుణంగా మారకపోతే డైనోసార్స్ డిసపేర్ అయిపోయాయి. ఫ్లెక్సిబిలిటీ చేంజ్ అనేది వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ సర్వైవల్ ఇన్స్టింక్ట్. యూ కెనాట్ బి రిజిడ్ బికాస్ ఐ వాజ్ దెన్ లైక్ దట్, ఐ వాంట్ బి నౌ లైక్ దిస్. నో. A modern saint travels in a flight. He reads books. He uses computer, Don't you think all noble or greater scientists, greater, even are they saints, are they not using laptops, Forget Google. Imagine your life. Put aside self and imagine your life. So in a sentence, what I am trying to say is, both are equally necessary. They have relative values. Let us honor this and that, because both are God's creation. Summer is God's creation. Rain is God's creation. Autumn is God's creation. Spring is God's creation. Sorrow is God's creation. Smiles are God's creation. Sunset, sunset. These called dualities. ద్వంద్వభూయిష్టమైన ప్రపంచం అంటే ఈ ద్వంద్వాల మధ్యలో మీకు విజ్డమ్ లేకపోతే ద్వంద్వ యుద్ధం ఉన్నట్లు కనపడుతుంది. డ్యూయల్ అంటాం, DUEL. దే ఆర్ అపారెంట్లీ కాంట్రడిక్టరీ డ్యూయాలిస్. అపారెంట్లీ కాంట్రడిక్టరీ, ఇన్హెరెంట్లీ కాంప్లిమెంటరీ. If spring disappears, autumn disappears, there won't be any spring. If summer disappears, there's no rain. Apparently opposite. If the villain disappears, there can't be any hero at all. No director, however efficient is, cannot create a hero without the presence of the villain. Imagine, for example, as I often say, there is no Ravana, no Marisha, no Shurpanaka. Would you have worshipped Rama? Honestly tell me. Would you have remained as a great king like Ashoka, Gupta king, Harshavardhana, Chandragupta Maurya, like that? Because he killed Ravana, established the dharma, all that, you begin to worship. No Ayodhya would have been there. Let us say no Putana, no Kamsa, no Kauravas. Krishna is just a cowherd, no Gaurasangiri, no Indra, just a cowherd, So Dasharatha has given just a biological Rama. Ramahood, Rama has been raised to the extent that you worship is because of the presence of Kamsa. God, who is the real father, honestly tell me? Real father of Ramahood? Both. Real father is Rama. Real father of Krishna is Kamsa. Krishna has become Krishna, you worship, go to Vrindavan, Mathura, all that because presence of Kauravas, Kamsa. So these are apparent contradictions. The fact that God has created these two is an indication we need both. For primitive man, summer was different, rain was different. They were enemies. They were not aware of the fact it's because of summer there is rain. Now we know it. For them, summer and rain, they are not opposites. Apparently opposite. Inherently, they need each other. There are opposites which are not in opposition to each other. Be careful about my language, There are opposites, but they are not in opposition to each other. So are all these things in life. Because secreted means it has a function. Sorrow is a function. Sunset is a function. Sunrise is a function. Autumn is a function. Right? శిశిర ఋతువులు చెట్లన్నీ ఆకులు రాల్చుకుంటాయి కదా. వసంత ఋతువు రాగానే ఎక్కడ చూసినా ఆకులు. శిరస్సులోంచి 1000 వసంతాలు వస్తాయని అజ్ఞానం ఉంటే తప్ప అర్థం కాదు మనకు. From the head of the autumn, don't think thousands of leaves they begin to emerge, and adorn the trees, In a sentence, in dualism, for an unwise person, they fight each other. Duel. For a wise person, they sing a duet, Yugala Gitam. So, Dvanda Yuddhala nunchi Yugala Gitam prayaname spirituality. Wise person realizes the relative role of these two. Because God has created, there must be a reason. Apparently contradictory, inherently they need each other. The moment you remove sorrow, all joy disappears. So simple answer to any question, why did God create sorrow means to give you joy. Why did God create summer? To give you rain, If the desert of Sahara disappears, some of you must be knowing, can you believe that you disappear? And Amazon forest will disappear? This is a symbiotic universe. That's a beautiful word called symbiotic universe. Entire globe is interconnected, interconnected, Something is inferior, something is superior. No, each is necessary. The desert of Sahara, it almost touches. It's so huge, 8 countries it touches. Chad from there. Africa is twice the size of India. Sahara desert. They're called the lungs of the planet, They supply oxygen 20 times more than you need, 1/4 of oxygen because of Sahara. If it disappears, your own oxygen disappears. Plus, Amazon forest disappears. So Amazon forest leaves, they provide so much of oxygen. 20 times more than we need. Amazon forest, Huge, touching 8 countries, Are you aware how they are related? Some of you may be. Recently, even in America, California, they were experiencing some areas that dust, carried from Sahara. Are you aware of this news? Some of you must be knowing, spillover. So when these powerful winds blow from Sahara, according to scientific estimate, they carry 182 millions, not thousands, millions of tons of dust it carries. Crossing the Atlantic Ocean. These are all science students. I'm giving some scientific angle to the answer, so that I told you it will be more convincing. And by the time that reaches Amazon forest, it supplies 27 millions of tons of dust shoveled on Amazon forest. You may question, why does that need? This dust has phosphorus content. For example, all the plants need phosphorus. ATP, ADP, adenosine triphosphate, all that Phosphorus is very, very important for a plant. And plants in Amazon suffer from lack of phosphorus because of heavy rains. Things are washed out. Every year, approximately 22,000, not millions, 22,000 tons of phosphorus is washed away. Exactly more or less same amount of phosphorus is supplied by Sahara Desert, as if they know each other, That is interconnectedness, symbiotic universe, Exactly 22,000 more or less tons of phosphorus supplied by the dust of Sahara. You may question, how does it have phosphorus, Once it was a grey, thousands of years ago it was a lake, Many animals died there, diatoms and so many things, So it has, Still more surprising fact is, while crossing the Atlantic Ocean, so many tons of dust falls into Atlantic Ocean. This dust also contains iron. which is very useful to diatoms. And science students know that diatom, phytoplankton, a single cellular algae. They are the most important source of oxygen on Earth. More of oxygen on Earth is prepared by this ocean, not even by the plants. These diatoms, they release oxygen. For them, iron is important. But for the iron, they would have died, So this Sahara Desert keeps diatoms and algae, phytoplanktons in ocean alive and supplies phosphorus Amazon forest, because of which we have oxygen to breathe. This is the interconnected and symbiotic universe. So unless you know the little of science, it is difficult to appreciate the nature of God or nature of creature. Most of us pray to God, but most of us do not know whom you are praying to. Praying to God, do you know the real nature of God? You will go into coma. God is far greater than you think, you imagine, or you think you have read in the books. Million, jillion times greater than is described in the books. For that, you have to have some kind of scientific lens, because the entire universe, except science, you don't have anything. You cannot come across at any time anything that is unscientific. Everything is scientific. Because there is science in the body, there is medicine. Science in the tree, there is tree. Zoology, everywhere science and science. The power that has created so much of science and only science should not be understood through non-scientific or unscientific means. You can, but it is not adequate. Inadequate understanding of the human matter. In Bhagavad Gita, don't we say, Krishna, which pleases all of you, sloka, pushpam patram palantoyam, ivi chalu. God cook. No more praise, no more even antangada. If you know enough of science, even they are not enough. If you look at leaf, you get enlightenment. No need to worship Krishna also. If you know the real nature of a leaf, just a leaf. There are more than 4 Nobel Prizes for leaf. Look at the photosynthesis. Preparing oxygen for you, it takes carbon dioxide, oxygen for you. And you say, we are all polluting air, right? But plants are happy that we are purifying air. They need carbon dioxide. It's a relative phenomenon. What is pollution for you is purification for them. What do you do? This symbiotic universe. Right? So therefore, they're all interrelated. We need everything. In other words, all that exists in nature is perfect. How we don't know? There is a reason, scientific reason for everything. We may not be aware of different thing. So that way, spirituality has to be raised to slightly scientific status. Then you get the clear picture. Otherwise, our awareness is slightly inadequate. But no less a person than Swami Vivekananda, his lectures in Chicago, right? Parliament of Religions. All of you know that, Chicago Art Institute. Did you ever visit Chicago Art Institute? You still have a hall, His whole goal was, he was a scientifically minded person, rationally minded. In a word, the contribution of Vivekananda is, in 2 words, rationalization of religion and spiritualization of science. He tried to spiritualize science, rationalize religion. I don't know whether you're aware it or not. He wrote a letter to Nikola Tesla. You know who's Nikola Tesla? Who is he? What did he invent? What kind of electricity? Tesla coil, More than that, his name is close associated with AC. DC is Edison. Alternate current. AC is Nikola Tesla. He wrote a letter. He was asking scientific questions about electricity, conservation of the mass. I want to see you personally and get my doubts cleared. Vivekananda. Then, there's a point, So, this kind of, here, you come at what you call universal definitions. Otherwise, it becomes subject to experience, In science, your opinion is everybody's opinion. Structure of the heart, everybody's opinion is same. You don't say, I think, In philosophy, you think, I think. Bertrand Russell used to say, you heard of Bertrand Russell? A Nobel laureate, wrote more than 300 books, right from marriage and morals, happiness, why I'm not a Christian, impact of science on society, so many books. He says, I think his religion, spirituality, religion is, not I think, that is science. I know is science, I think is philosophy is to say. Some of the philosophic is also needed, great philosophers were there, They explored the universe, filtered life, came to very wise conclusions, right from Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, and our Indian philosophers, all of you know that, right from Shankaracharya. They're a great asset, spiritual asset to the entire India. Fine, we need them, we need these, all right? So that way, objectively, honestly, you have to hug all these things. Therefore, you're all here. So your roots are there, but your branches are exposed to western sky. చెట్టు ఎంత ఎత్తుకు వెదిగినా విత్తనంగా ఉన్నప్పుడు నేలలోనే దాని వేళ్ళన్నీ ఉంటాయి అన్నమాట కదా. You are rooted in Indian soil, but exposed to western sky. A combination of both, absolutely fine, So there isn't anything wrong in coming to USA and getting exposed to western science, absolutely fine. All the culture you absorb, you make use of it. The two things, culture and civilization, they are not same. Samskriti, Nagarikata antaru. Culture is slightly a better word, Indian culture, absolutely fine. People like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ramana Maharshi, or Shirdi Sai, and many saints, Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, and recent saints, In the east, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. In the west, Shirdi Sai. In the north, Ramana Maharshi. East Yavarakala, Himalayas ఉన్నాయి కాబట్టి more or less same. So that way, they had role, tremendous role. They enriched Indian culture. The very scientific definition of culture is usable past. All past are not useful. Certain amount of past is usable, can be used again even now. That is called Samskriti. కడవడన్ని పాలలో కాసింత వెన్న అన్నట్లు కాబట్టి ఆ సంస్కృతి క్యారీ మ్యాక్సిమలర్ don't you have wisdom of the East? So many volumes, they are lying unused in Usmanian's library. Sometimes it goes to refer to them. When state library has near Abdul Ganj in Hyderabad, rich absolute culture. True, that is true. This is true. Once you were a child, you were playing with the toys. Now you are adult to play with something else. So what? Your toy is not inferior to the computer, not necessarily. As a child, you were as happy with the computer, toy, as you are now with the computer. Relative stages. Am I clear? So therefore, thank God there is iron, thank God there is gold, thank God there is copper, thank God all these things. Everything is important. You come to your USA, Statue of Liberty, made of? Its color is now?
Patina.
Why so?
Oxidized.
And also? Because of wetness in the? So it's not cuprous oxide or copper dioxide or cuprous oxide. Copper atomic number? 20. Computer silicon atomic number? Computer scientists, chips, integrated chips, Intel. What is it made of? Chip, huh? Silicon. Atomic number. Why only silicon? Because that is semiconductor, right? Why only silicon is semiconductor? Why not carbon? Above on the head of this is there is carbon. 6, silicon 14 atomic number. Why?
Structure of the silicon.
In what way? Outward electrons same. In the period, in the group, electron configuration is same number of alone pair of electrons in the outermost orbit. KLMN, SPDF.
Arrangement of electrons are used.
Absolutely same. Silicon, below element, outer element. Why only the semiconductor? This questioning, inquisitive mind, Americans questions. Most of the Indians, you are all exception, take things for granted. అది ఎందుకని ప్రశ్న మనిషిని ముందుకు నడిపిస్తుంది అనేది అలాగే కాబట్టి మీరు చేసింది ఏమీ తప్పు కాదు యూ డిడ్ రైట్ థింగ్ బై కమింగ్ టు యూఎస్ఏ స్టిల్ ఇన్ యువర్ బ్లడ్ రేట్ ఇన్ ఇండియన్ కల్చర్ అబ్సల్యూట్లీ ఫైన్ ఇండియా ఈజ్ ఆల్సో అండర్ గోయింగ్ చేంజ్ is as good as America now. Go to so many software companies, people living lifestyles is there. Sometimes you don't know whether you're in America or in Hyderabad, Change is natural, right? And necessary also. So I feel jealous of all of you, those who are here, I am not as fortunate as you are, You can make the best possible use of America. The only fact is, this and that is a law. Electron and proton. In every atom, opposites coexist, Therefore, in everywhere, opposites coexist. Dualism antam, Advaitam and Advaitam antam kada. So, harmonious coexistence of Dvandvalu. That is spirituality. Tears and smile coexist. What is at rest? What is having a speed? They coexist. You're traveling in flight, let us say 800 kilometers per hour. You don't feel the speed at all, మీ ఇక్కడ కూర్చున్న వాళ్ళకు ఫ్లైట్లో వెళ్ళే వాళ్ళకు నాకు ఎంత స్పీడ్లో వెళ్తున్నా అంటే మీరు నమ్మరు, ద స్టేట్ సేమ్ కదా అంటారు. ఆ స్పీడ్ తెలియాలంటే లుక్ అట్ ద థింగ్ దట్ ఇస్ అట్ రెస్ట్. లుక్ అట్ అర్త్, దెన్ యూ ఫీల్ ద స్పీడ్. You're traveling in a train, you don't feel the speed. Look at a tree, you feel the speed. Even if you have the speed, to feel it, you need what is at rest. This is called the dualistic interdependence. Therefore, nature has created two dualities. Both are equally necessary. Good and bad. Hero and villain. Gandhi and Godse. Once the shooting is over, Gandhi, Godse are sitting in God's garden taking a cup of coffee together. Who knows? These slightly strange things. So that way, if you look at things very, if you're looking into Veru, right? What was the question I raised? Because he did not ask questions, I asked him any questions. He did not give me an answer. You have a question?
No, I give the answer.
You have an answer?
Speed, MS.
What did you say? No.
Speed and point focus on there.
Mm-hmm.
A needle going at the speed of light can destroy Earth. Speed of the
Lightning.
No, a needle, like small needle.
Right.
Point, going at the speed of Earth, speed of light can destroy Earth easy.
Mm-hmm.
That thing, same thing. If a car were to come and hit me at 1 mile an hour, I'll be okay. Again, speed and point focus there. The smaller the item is, the higher the density, and thus the power of the.
Sometimes even in science, one has to be slightly careful. Sometimes scientists add exaggeration also. In most cases, they are true. For example, when you drop 1 rupee coin from Burj Khalifa on the head of somebody who is there, he will kill. It will kill him. Right? Potential is getting converted into kinetic energy. True. The scientific world. So that way, anything that exists in nature is final, the best. Robert Browning used to say, all is right with the world, God is in heaven. How right? So coexistence is very, very important. Electron, proton, they coexist. Everywhere there are dualities. వాటి మధ్యలో అపారెంట్లీ కాంట్రడిక్టరీ మధ్యలో స్నేహము బంధుత్వాన్ని ప్రజెంట్ చేయడమే స్పిరిచువాలిటీ. ఫర్ ఆర్డినరీ మ్యాన్ దేర్ ఆపోజిట్స్, ఫర్ వైజ్ మ్యాన్ దే కోఎగ్జిస్ట్, దే నీడ్ ఈచ్ అదర్. అంటే దే ఆర్ టూ యాటిట్యూడ్. దేర్ ఇజంట్ ఎనీథింగ్ ఇన్ ద యూనివర్స్ దట్ గివ్స్ ఓన్లీ జాయ్. Everything gives joy and sorrow. Name anything in the universe. Same scalpel that operates may be butcher's knife. Same knife that cuts a fruit may cut the throat also. You cannot blame it. Everything is realistic. Same sun may become the sun of your life and shed sunlight, may become sunstroke. Who knows? Same life that gives joy also gives sorrow. Every house, though it has puja room, also has a bathroom. What do? You can survive without puja room, but not with bathroom. You can survive without joy, but not without sorrow. Sorrow, the school teacher. Shakespeare does not say, sweet are the uses of adversity. Everything is necessary. So wise man, what does he do? For him, opposites don't exist. They're contradictory, but they're made complementary. The layman's LKG definition of a saint is one who cannot see sinner anywhere. Be slightly careful. For a saint, no sinner exists. Sinner has a role. If somebody is stabbed with a knife, you cannot blame the knife. Because sinner is also necessary, therefore God has created a sinner. Otherwise, God is not a sadist to create a sinner and make you trouble. Create trouble for you. So for a wise man, these apparent opposites, they coexist together. Can they be yoked together? That is yoga. Definition yoga is yoking. Ikkada, their individual soul, cosmic soul, they are yoked together. That's a different thing. Here in the entire life, what is really useful is their opposites. Sorrow and joy. The moment sorrow comes, you run to temple and pray to God. As if God is sadist, he first sends you sorrow and after prayer he removes it, That's our definition of God, Most of us are busy with the gods whom we have made, not with the gods who have made us, So, when these apparently contradictory ideas, two negatives, two attitudes, negative attitude, positive attitudes, negative things, positive things, when they are yoked together harmoniously, that is yoga. United States of Attitude, USA means that, People who are living in USA, can you unite the two apparent contradictory states of attitude? Can they be united? Then you are really living in USA. United States of Attitude, right? Hammaya, tea break ainda? Tea is more important, Inka time unda ayipinda? 15 minutes. 15 minutes unda? What is the best tea in the world? Answer, because you don't ask question, let me ask, What's the best tea in the world? Any idea? No idea. Costliest coffee? Did you drink costliest coffee? Bali?
కొంచెం దూరం పెట్టుకోండి సార్.
దూరం పెట్టుకోవాలా?
కొంచెం.
Okay. So neither too near nor too far. Optimum distance. That is spirituality. Striking a balance. Samadrushti antam kada. Fire దగ్గరికి వెళ్తే బర్న్ అవుతుంది, దూరం వెళ్తే ఫీల్ కోల్డ్. Optimal distance. So it taught me a spiritual lesson. రీసౌండ్ వస్తుందా? మరి మైక్ మారుద్దామా? అది నా ప్రాబ్లం కాదు, మైక్ మీ ప్రాబ్లం. అర్లీర్ బాగుందా? మైక్ లేకపోతే వాయిస్ వినపడకపోవచ్చు అందరికీ. మైక్ లేకుంటే బాగుంటుందా, ఉంటే బాగుంటుంది చెప్పండి. ఇది బాగుందా? నో, మైక్ మేకలు అయిపోయింది మనకు. యూ కెన్ ప్లీజ్ డిసైడ్. సో గుప్తా, నో మైక్.
ఓన్లీ క్వశ్చన్ కదా.
My only problem is my vocal cords are not strong enough,
Now it is okay?
Much clear?
Is it okay?
లేదా if it's not okay, you'll put it aside, no problem, Hello, hello, hello.
Is it okay?
Not okay.
Mire.
Okay?
Amma?
So now problem is solved, So spirituality ante not absence of problem, remember. You become problem resistant, not absence of problem. There's a problem, you find a solution. Then only become a mathematician, Without a problem, nobody can become a mathematician. Every hurdle must make better runner, Problem, solve it. Disease, cure it. Therefore, there is a doctor. Otherwise, all the others will disappear. Our goal is not disease-free, but disease-resistant. There is a disease, doctor. This and that is the law. Right. Even electricity doesn't flow unless there is a potential difference. There won't be any flow of electricity together. Electricity means flow of electrons, antena? Flow of electrons. Okay. Hammaya, okay, question. So that way, absolutely, what you did is absolutely right. You don't have to regret for what you have done, It's not in disharmony with our Gurujis. What he says, what you do, they are perfectly in harmony, indirectly, You are not doing anything that he asked you not to do.
But from a soul conduciveness, from a soul upliftment point of view.
This soul is a slightly technical word. All those who are very sincere in their sincere seeker must be careful about many words. God, soul, enlightenment, next birth, karma theory. One has to be slightly careful. If for all real seekers, right? Even American has a soul, right? Hello? So it's a purely psychological exercise, You can be anywhere and take care of your soul. I will ask some disturbing questions, provocative questions about soul. When Krishna says, నిప్పు కాల్చలేనిది, నీరు ఆర్పలేనిది, ఎటర్నల్ సోల్ అయినప్పుడు, సోల్తో ప్రాబ్లమే లేదు మనకు. చాలామంది సోల్స్ మనశ్శాంతి అంటాం కదా, ఆత్మ శాంతించాలంటాం కదా. ఆత్మ నాశనం లేనిది, నిప్పు కాల్చలేనిది, నీరు తడపలేని దానికి శాంతి ఏంటి? మీకు నాకు శాంతి కానీ? వన్ క్వశ్చన్. I told you disturbing question. It makes you think, Most of us don't think, take things for granted. Question number 1. Long ago I was మానస సరోవరం వెళ్ళాను ఒకసారి. అక్కడ ఒక కపుల్ కలిసారు, యంగ్ కపుల్. ఆ నీళ్ళు చాలా, ఇట్స్ వెరీ వెరీ కోల్డ్, ఇట్స్ వెరీ డిఫికల్ట్ టు టేక్ ఎ డిప్, బోన్ బైటింగ్ కోల్డ్నెస్. ఒక అమ్మాయి బలవంతాన్ని మునిగి తేలింది అనమాట. ఎందుకమ్మా అంత కష్టపడ్డామంటే, అమ్మాయి సార్ బయటకు వచ్చి హస్బెండ్తో అంటుంది, అమ్మయ్య ఇప్పుడు మా అమ్మ నాన్న ఆత్మలు అలా ఎగిరి హెవెన్లోకి వెళ్ళింటాయి. నేను అడిగాను, ఓకే జస్ట్ ప్రొవోకర్, మీ అమ్మ చనిపోయి ఏంటంటే 10 years అంది, నాన్నగారు అంటే 15 years అండి. మీ అమ్మగారు నాన్నగారు మీకు తెలిసినంత వరకు మంచివాళ్లే కదా? మంచివాళ్ళే సార్. సో ఖచ్చితంగా మహా మంచి వాళ్ళైతే స్వర్గానికి వెళ్ళింటారు. అంటే హెల్లికి వెళ్ళేంత బ్యాడ్ అయితే కాదు. లేకుంటే ఏమేంటి దీపాటికి వేరే భర్త తీసుకొని చిన్న పాపను అమ్మఒడిలో అమ్మపరి అనుభవిస్తూ హాయిగా ఉంటారు. లేదా అప్పటికేదో స్కూల్కి వెళ్ళి ఫాల్ ఇన్ లవ్, స్విట్జర్లాండ్ డ్యూయట్ దాగుతుండొచ్చు. వాళ్ళకి మనశ్శాంతి ఏంటి అడిగాను. లేదా ఇప్పటిదాకా పిశాచాలా తిరిగేంత పాపాలు చేశారా? లేదు. వాట్ ఈజ్ దిస్? ఇప్పుడు ఎందుకు చెప్తున్నానంటే, మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ అస్ డోంట్ క్వశ్చన్ నేను అట్లాగా. కాబట్టి ఇవి కొంచెం జాగ్రత్తగా ఉండే ఏరియాస్ అవి. కాబట్టి అంత పవిత్రమైన సోలు ఏం చేసినా దానికి ఏం కాదు. వీ హ్యావ్ టు రికగ్నైజ్ ద ఫ్యాక్ట్ బిహైండ్ ఆల్ దీస్ థింగ్స్ ద సమ్ ఇమ్మోర్టల్ స్పార్క్ అన్నది. అమృతస్య పుత్ర అంటాం కదా, దట్ ఇమ్మోర్టల్ స్పార్క్ హైడింగ్ ఇన్ సైడ్ ద బాడీ. బట్ బాడీ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్లీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. దేర్ ఫర్ గాడ్ హ్యాస్ గివెన్ బాడీ ఇస్ అ బయలాజికల్ టెంపుల్. ఇంకొంచెం డిస్టర్బింగ్ క్వశ్చన్ వేస్తాను మీకు అనుకున్న దానికి, జస్ట్ మేక్ యూ థింక్. దెర్ ఇస్ నో అదర్ ఇంటెన్షన్. వెన్ ఆర్ గివెన్ ఛాన్స్, ఫిజికల్ ప్లెజర్ అండ్ మెంటల్ సైకలాజికల్ ప్లెజర్ అండ్ హ్యాపీనెస్ అంటాం కదా. ప్లెజర్ అంటే భౌతికమైంది, శారీరక వాంఛలు అంటాం. సైకలాజికల్, మెంటల్, సెరెబ్రల్ ప్లెజర్, దీనికన్నా అది గొప్పది అంటుంటాం కదా. హ్యాపీనెస్ ఇస్ గ్రేటర్ దాన్ ప్లెజర్ అన్నామా మనం? ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ అగ్రీడ్? ప్లెజర్స్ పక్కన పెట్టాలి. శరీరాన్ని ప్రపంచాన్ని వదిలితే భగవంతుడు కనపడరు. ఈ శరీరాన్ని ప్రపంచిందే ఆయన, ఇక్కడ పంపించిందే ఆయన. మిమ్మల్ని అమ్మ వాళ్ళు అమెరికా పంపిస్తే మళ్ళీ ఎన్నికి వెళ్ళిపోతారా మీరు? పంపించడానికి కారణం ఉండొద్దా? పంపించారు కాబట్టి మీకు రూట్స్ని డిస్కనెక్ట్ కాలేదు. సో శారీరక వాంఛలు అన్నారు కదా, మీరు హ్యాపీనెస్ ఉంది, మీరు ఒకరిని హ్యాపీగా ఉంచవచ్చు మీ ప్రయత్నం వల్ల. సెయింట్ మదర్ తెరెసాలాగా సేవ చేయొచ్చు, హెల్ప్ చేయొచ్చు, గ్రాటిట్యూడ్, ఎడ్యుకేట్, ఇవన్నీ చేస్తూ ఒకరిని ఆనందంగా ఉంచవచ్చు. సో ఒక దుఃఖం బాధపడే వ్యక్తిని ఆనందంగా ఉంచవచ్చు. ఒక సెయింట్ అయినా సరే ఒక సిన్నర్ని ఇంకో సెయింట్గా మార్చొచ్చు, మహానుభావులు అయితే. అలాంటి వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు చాలామంది. ఫైన్. కానీ కెన్ దే క్రియేట్ ఎ న్యూ లైఫ్? వన్ ట్యాగోర్, వన్ గాంధీ, వన్ జీసస్ క్రైస్ట్, వన్ కృష్ణ, ఓన్లీ ఫర్ ఫిజికల్ ప్లెజర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ పాసిబుల్, which is greater than. Which means all are needed, equally pious, equally great. Otherwise God wouldn't have given. This very world, if you leave the world, difficult to find God. The visible creation is autobiography of invisible creator. You read their biographies, but you don't read God's autobiography. This is God's autobiography. God's greatness can be seen concretely, felt concretely, understood concretely only through creation. తాజ్మహల్ నిర్మించిన ఆర్కిటెక్ట్ వాళ్ళ ఇంటికి వెళ్ళి షేక్ హ్యాండ్ ఇచ్చి భోజనం చేస్తే తాజ్మహల్ గురించి తెలియదు, మీకు అతను గొప్పతనం తెలియదు. తాజ్మహల్ చూసి ఆ ఇంటికి వెళ్ళాలి. పికాసో, వ్యాన్ గోగ్ ఆర్ అదర్ పెయింటర్, వితౌట్ లుకింగ్ అట్ దెమ్ పెయింటింగ్ యూ కెనాట్ ప్రైజ్ దెమ్. యూ డోంట్ నో హౌ ది గ్రేట్ దే ఆర్. కాబట్టి క్రియేషన్ చూస్తేనే భగవంతుడు ఎంత గొప్పవాడు, ఇంత గొప్ప క్రియేషన్ అని. మనం యూ డోంట్ లుక్ ఇన్ టు క్రియేషన్, జస్ట్ లుక్ అట్ క్రియేషన్. దాంతో అద్భుతమైన ప్రపంచం కదా. ఇందులో ఆర్డినరీ థింగ్ వెళ్ళి రైట్ ఇనానిమేట్ యాటమ్ దగ్గర నుంచి సింగిల్ సెల్, జస్ట్ ఆకు నిర్మాణంలో యాజ్ ఐ టోల్డ్ యూ, ఎగ్జాక్ట్ షేపు, సింగిల్ సెల్ నర్వస్ సిస్టమ్ లేదు, సెంట్రల్ కంట్రోలింగ్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ లేదు. ఈ సెల్ డివిజన్ ఎక్కడ ఆగితే షేప్ వస్తుందని అన్నీ ఎలా డిసైడ్ చేసుకుంటాయి? ఆల్ సెల్స్ టుగెదర్ డిసైడా, ఒక్క సెల్ డిసైడా? అమేజింగ్. చిన్న మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ పేరెంట్స్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ ఆఫన్ రిపీట్, జస్ట్ ఇఫ్ యూ గివ్ బర్త్ టు ఏ చైల్డ్ టు గెట్ ఎన్లైటన్మెంట్. ఇఫ్ యువర్ చైల్డ్ కెనాట్ గివ్ ఎన్లైటన్మెంట్, నో గురు కెన్ గివ్ ఎన్లైటన్మెంట్. within the short span of 9 months, hardly 9 months, or few days more, single sperm and egg combining into zygote, Telugu Samyukta Bijam antam. Within the short span of 9 months, in the darkness of the womb of the mother doesn't know anything, father doesn't know anything, she eats and takes rest, uses medicine. Some miraculous, magical, mesmerizing power, so silently, so incredibly, sculpting live baby in the darkness of the womb of a mother. Heart, eyes, nervous system, veins, arteries, blood inside, 100 billion neurons. Unimaginably going to coma. It's an ordinary thing. Only God could have done like that, The concrete proof of God's presence, omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence is your own child, When such a child comes out, look, father, mother, and pediatrician, and a gynecology, all the four should go into coma if you are sensitive enough. Otherwise, you are all in coma. This is how we look at the world, Touch anything in the world, nothing is ordinary. Many times I tell, suppose some of you must have taken tea. Look at the sugar, Sugar cane plant, Chinna utavellu untayi. Capillary like hardly 10-15 meters long. They draw little water, some soil, some minerals from the earth. By the time they reach first segment, there is sugar. No noise pollution, no sound pollution, pollution of any sort. If you look at it, it should go into coma. You give it little soil and water to 100 Nobel laureates in the USA, give them 100 years. Here is a plant which never visited, never went to Harvard, MIT, Berkeley, Stanford, Princeton, Caltech, anything, It does, Do you appreciate it, Mechanically put చేతిలో స్పూన్లో షుగర్ పట్టుకుంటే చెయ్యి వణకాలి if you are sensitive enough. Touch anything, only God could have created. అజంతాలో గొప్ప గొప్ప శిల్పాలు చూస్తాము, ఈవెన్ హంపీలో కూడా. మనం రాయి కన్నా శిల్పం గొప్పదంటాం. శిల్పిని ఎవరైనా తయారు చేయొచ్చు. శిల్పి రాళ్ళని చెక్కి శిల్పంగా మార్చొచ్చు. రాయిని తయారు చేయండి చూద్దాం. The power that has made stone is greater than the power that has sculpted stone. So మీరు చూసే దృష్టిని బట్టి ఉంటుంది. They have to readjust our psychological lenses while looking at the reality. Such a universe we are living in. Everything is amazing. Literally everything. Name anything in the world. ఈ భూమి స్పీడ్ మీకు తెలుసు కదా, ఎంత అప్రాక్సిమేట్గా వైల్డ్ గెస్ 1 kilometer 2 kilometer speed up. They're all science students, sophomore. More than 1600 kilometers per hour than rotation. మనకు సముద్రాలను బిల్డింగ్ను మనల్ని మోసుకుంటూ ఇప్పుడు తిరుగుతుంది, మీరు ఏం ఫీల్ గారు. 1600 kilometers per hour. And this, it moves around the sun. You know what is the speed? Wild guess. 1,00,000, not 1,000. 1,07,000 kilometers per hour. You know the speed of a bullet? 1,800 kilometers per minute. How speed lo tiragam? Unimaginable. Solar system. This entire solar system is a part in the Milky Way. In the Milky Way, more than 200 billions of stars now. The solar system, along with all these planets, moves around Milky Way. You know how long does it take? The speed of it, Speed of solar system around the center point of Milky Way, cosmic center point of Milky Way. 8,50,000 kilometers per hour. And there are so many galaxies in the universe. This Milky Way, along with other galaxies, moves around another center point. It takes 9 lakhs, some thousands kilometers per hour, and we are just here. If you look at the cosmos, star-studded sky, you should go into coma. Otherwise, you are in coma already. Nothing in the world. Look at even sun. You do Surya Namaskars blindly without knowing what sun is. We just Namaskar. What do you get out of it? A little physical health, breathing. nervous system is getting activated. And you get a little D vitamin, fine. But you never understand sun. Just if you look at sun into going to coma. It is said, I myself wonder at it, 13 lakhs of earths can be accommodated in the sun. 13, not hundreds. I don't know how they calculated, it's still a mystery, అట్లాంటి యూనివర్స్లో మనం ఉంటున్నాం హార్డ్లీ ఫర్ సో ఇది చూస్తే ఆర్డబ్ల్యూ ఎమర్సన్ యూస్ టు సే హ్యావ్ యూ హర్డ్ ఆఫ్ ఎమర్సన్ బై ద వే హూ ఇస్ famous American writer, Emerson, Robert Frost, Walt Whitman, Henry David Thoreau at least. Did you visit Concord in Massachusetts State? Concord. There's a pond called Walden Pond. In Hyderabad at least there's a Walden bookshop used to be there. Have you heard of it? Bookshop in Hyderabad? There's a Walden Pond. There Henry David Thoreau used to stay there, just in the forest. Simple chittadu ventam kada. 2 years. 2 months, 2 days he stayed there, just talking to plants, enjoying the moonlight, mesmerizing moonlight, clouds and the sun, morning, evening, what a joy, A real life. Most of us exist, we don't live, That's a problem. He used to say, if the stars were to appear one time in 1,000 years, how would you feel, Because they appear every day, you don't care them, Mesmerizing universe, Touch anything is miraculous. So then it is difficult to lose God, miss God, not find God, Our definition of God is different, our finding is different. Only that is finding this. Visibly is attracting so many things, Everything is amazing, amazing. Walt Whitman used to say, every inch of the planet is amazing, Very famous writer, American writer called, he wrote Leaves of Grass, his famous poem. So that way it is too big a universe for us to imagine. So atlage spirituality, God got different areas, For real seeker has to be slightly cautious. If you are ritualistically seeking God, it's a different thing, Fine. Bhakti is necessary, but gnana is also more important, Don't you have in Bhagavad Gita, Karma Shatkam? Bhakti, gnana. Bhakti means you just love God. Bhakti makes burden bearable slightly. Gnana means finding ways to God. No, ways of God. Finding ways to God is bhakti, ways of God. His ways are paradoxical, apparently contradictory. To give you rain, he creates sun. You don't understand, You think God is unkind, That very kindness is not necessary to apply it to God, God need not be kind. He has to be kind only when he doesn't give you what you need, Gada. But he always gives you what you need, you are not aware of it. So he need not be kind. God be kind ante you are insulting him. Mummy be kind ante, am I unkind so far? Not giving you what you want? How can I be God then? We don't know about the language that we use, God, you are kind ante you are insulting God. Praying to God, You want to please God, By mantra, by some other visit, పునర్దర్శన ప్రాప్తిరస్తు లేకపోతే it doesn't do. యాక్సిడెంట్ అని చేస్తాడు, జ్వరమైన వస్తుంది, ఉద్యోగమైన పోతుంది, వీసా అయినా రాదు, ఉద్యోగమైన రాదు. You want to please God. He's a human being to be pleased, Definition of God is the one who loves you in spite of your hatred, ద్వేషించినా ప్రేమించే వ్యక్తిని గాడ్ అంటాం. ప్రార్థిస్తే పనులు చేసే పెట్టింది కరప్ట్ రెవెన్యూ అఫీషియల్ అంటారు. Don't feel that. So whenever you pray to God especially for fulfillment of desire, within quotes, that kind of a prayer, ante you are reducing God to human level. దీన్ని ఏమంటారు టెక్నికల్గా anthropomorphic conception of God అంటారు. You are trying to understand divinity in human language. మానవీకరించిన దైవత్వం అన్నమాట. Humanized divinity. Divinity is difficult to understand, so you try to understand in human language. అందుకని ఆల్ గాడ్స్ క్వాలిటీస్ మీ క్వాలిటీస్ ఏమిటి, ఏం తేడా ఉండదు. అయితే గ్లోరిఫైడ్గా ఉంటుంది అంతే. మీరు బ్యాగ్ ఎత్తారు, ఆయన గోవర్ధన్గిరి ఎత్తుతాడు, రైట్? మీరు చేయలే పనులు ఆయన కొన్ని చేస్తాడు. అలాగే మీలో పెరుగుతాడు, ఓల్డ్ ఏజ్, జెలసీ, శాపము, భార్య, పిల్లలు, మొత్తం హ్యూమన్ బయోగ్రఫీ. హ్యూమన్ బీయింగ్స్ లేనప్పుడు తెలియదు. సో ఎందుకంటే ద రియల్ సీకర్ హ్యాస్ టు బి స్లైట్లీ కేర్ఫుల్ అబౌట్ దిస్ ఫ్యాక్ట్ కాల్డ్ గాడ్. ఈవెన్ హయ్యెస్ట్ లెవెల్లో చెప్తున్నాను నేను. ఎవరైతే హయ్యెస్ట్ హెల్డ్ ఇన్ హై రెస్పెక్ట్ ఇన్ ఆల్ ఏజెస్ ఈ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఆల్ గ్రేట్ పీపుల్ need not be born in the past. All great, should they be born only in the past? ఇవన్నీ ఉన్నాయి. ఆల్ ఇది ఇన్వెన్షన్ వర్ దే ఇన్ ద పాస్ట్. మీ సెల్ ఫోన్స్ తక్కువ ఇన్వెన్షనా? ల్యాప్టాప్ చాట్ జీపీటీ, మీ సెల్ ఫోన్, ఆల్మోస్ట్ లైక్ మ్యాజిక్ మీరు ఏ పెద్ద పట్టించుకోరు కాబట్టి వేరే విషయం అది ఎవ్రీడే. సో అది ప్రేయర్ చేసేప్పుడు కూడా కొంచెం జాగ్రత్తగా ఉండండి. ఇది గాడ్ రిమూవ్ దిస్ యాజ్ వీ హెస్ గివెన్ యూ అండ్ రిమూవ్స్ సారో బికాస్ ద సాడిస్ట్ గివ్స్ యూ సారో, యూ ప్రే టు మీ విల్ రిమూవ్. Intensify prayer. You observe fast. 100 coconuts. Next time visit. Promises. He does it. You are bringing God to human level. చిన్న సార్ వస్తే వై అంటాం, మళ్ళీ కాల్ హిమ్ గాడ్. నీవే తల్లివి తండ్రివి. జంధ్యాల పాపయ్య శాస్త్రి అని ఒక కవి ఉండేవాడు, కర్ణశ్రీ మీరు అంటారు కదా, మీరు తెలుగు స్వామీజీగా అన్నారు కాబట్టి ఖచ్చితంగా పేరు అంటారు. ఆయన ప్రార్థన పైన ఒక పోయం రాశారు, చక్కటి పోయం. ప్రార్థన వేళలందు ప్రతిమ పలికెను భక్తునితో. ఫస్ట్ స్టాండ్, ప్రార్థన వేళలను ప్రతిమ పలికెను భక్తునితో వచ్చి ప్రే చేస్తున్నాడు. ఏమని, ఇది అంత ఈ వ్యర్థము, నేను కూడా ఒకప్పుడు బండనే సమ్మెటపోటుల కూర్చి తిని స్వామిగా మారితి. సమ్మెటపోట్లు కొట్టే నీవు కూడా అన్యార్థము కష్ట నష్టముల నందిన పూజ్యత కలుగు నావెలని అంటాడు. ఈ సారో ఇచ్చేది సేమ్ ఫాదర్ కదా. షుడ్ దేర్ నాట్ బి ఎనీ రీజన్ ఫర్ సారో? All mothers love children, all children love mothers, but all children cry. Similarly here, God loves you, you love God, but you cry. రీజన్ అంటే జ్ఞానం లేకపోవడం. లాస్ట్లో భక్తి ఉంది, అమ్మ అంటే ప్రేమ ఉంది, అమ్మ యాక్ట్ అర్థం కాదు. ఎందుకంటే గాడ్స్ యాక్ట్ ఈస్ డ్యూయలిస్టిక్ అండ్ హోలిస్టిక్. లుక్ అట్ రియల్టీ యాజ్ ఎ హోల్. టైటానిక్ షిప్ మిస్ అయ్యావు, యాక్సిడెంట్ అయితేనే వై మిస్ తెలుసు, అంతవరకు గాడ్ని కట్ చేసుకుంటుంటారు. దెర్ ఇస్ వన్ ఫ్యామిలీ ఇన్ స్కాట్లాండ్, టైటానిక్ షిప్, ఆల్ ఆఫ్ when did it happen? 12 April 14, 11:30. 6 months నుంచి కష్టపడి డబ్బులన్నీ గ్యాదర్ చేసుకున్నారు, ఎంటైర్ ఫ్యామిలీ బుక్ చేసుకున్నారు, న్యూయార్క్ రావాలి. సరిగ్గా 1 week ముందు దట్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ద చిల్డ్రన్ ఆఫ్ దట్ ఫ్యామిలీ బాయ్ వాజ్ బిట్టన్ బై డాగ్. అప్పట్లో ఇవి వ్యాక్సినేషన్ లేవు, ర్యాబీస్ వచ్చేసింది. అది వస్తే ఒక ఎల్లో ఫ్లాగ్ ఎగరవేయాలి వాళ్ళ ఇంటి ముందరు, అంటువ్యాధి కదా. ద మిస్డ్ ఎవ్రీబడి ఇన్ ద ఫ్యామిలీ కర్స్డ్ హిమ్, బికాస్ ఆఫ్ యూ మిస్డ్, బికాస్ ఆఫ్ యూ వై డిడ్ యూ గో అండ్ గెట్ బిట్టన్ బై ద డాగ్ అని. వన్స్ దే హర్డ్ ద న్యూస్ ఆఫ్టర్ 2 days met with hit iceberg, the hugged have saved my life. సో హోలిస్టిక్గా చూస్తే తప్ప సమ్మర్ రైన్ వచ్చేదాకా వెయిట్ చేస్తే తప్ప దాని రోల్ అర్థం కాదు. సో గాడ్ వర్క్స్ పారాడాక్సికలీ ఇన్ ఆపోజిట్స్. కాబట్టి వేస్ ఆఫ్ గాడ్ అంటే జ్ఞాన. చైల్డ్ ఎందుకు ఏడుస్తాడంటే వాళ్ళ మమ్మీ చొక్కా తీస్తుంది స్నానానికని వాడికి తెలియదు. లవ్ ఉంది, జ్ఞానం లేదు. లవ్ ఈజ్ నెసెసరీ బట్ నాట్ అడిక్వేట్. యూ లవ్ గాడ్, సార్ వస్తే ఏడుస్తారు, ఎందుకు ఇచ్చారో తెలియదు, మీ మంచిగా ఉంటుంది, యూ డోంట్ నో. కాబట్టి దట్స్ అ ప్రాబ్లం విత్ గాడ్. మీరు ప్రేయర్ వెళ్తే అంటే బాగుండదు, కానీ మీరు ప్రే చేయరు, ఆయన ప్రే చేస్తారు. డోంట్ గో టు టెంపుల్ నాట్ టు స్పీక్ టు గాడ్, హీ స్పీకింగ్, యూ లిజన్. మీకన్నా ఎక్కువ ఏడుస్తున్నాడా మీకు తెలుసో లేదో, వీడికి ఇన్ని ఇచ్చాను కదా, ఇంకా ప్రేయరు, ఇవన్నీ నీ మంచి కొరకు ఇచ్చాను, నా మాట విను, కౌంట్ మై బ్లెస్సింగ్స్, ఆర్ యూ ఏబుల్ టు కౌంట్ మై బ్లెస్సింగ్స్? మెనీ ఆర్ lying undetected, undiscovered. Please count all the blessings. You don't know how precious they are. Being alive is not important for you. There can't be a greater fact than being alive. Bliss of being alive, rapture of being alive, the greatest human feat. Once you're alive, physically, mentally healthy, all goals are over according to nature. అది తెలియదు. సమ్మర్ రాగానే గోల, మళ్ళీ వస్తుంది వర్షం. సో ఇన్ని అడగకుండానే ఇస్తే, అడిగితే ఇచ్చేంత తక్కువ కైండ్నెస్ ఉంది నా దగ్గర అని. పాపం నా మాట వినరా అని ఎన్నిసార్లు మనం వినాం. యూ గో దేర్ అండ్ స్పీక్ టు, యూ డోంట్ లిసన్ టు హిమ్. సో గో టు టెంపుల్ టు లిసన్ టు గాడ్, నాట్ టు ప్రే టు గాడ్. నో ప్రేయర్ ఇస్ నెసెసరీ. ఆల్ ప్రేయర్స్ ఆర్ అనాస్క్డ్. వెన్ ఎవర్ యూ ప్రే, మళ్ళీ కాస్త క్రూయల్ లాంగ్వేజ్, ప్రేయర్, ఇలాంటి ప్రేయర్ మళ్ళీ విత్ ఇన్ కోర్స్. ప్రేయర్ అంటే డిజైర్ ఫుల్ఫిల్లింగ్ ప్రేయర్. ఇట్ పంక్చర్స్ గాడ్స్ హార్ట్. ఒక మదర్ ఉంది అనుకోండి, మదర్ చాలామంది ఉన్నారు కాబట్టి, రోజు పాపకు ఎర్లీ మార్నింగ్ లేచి 7 గంటలకు స్కూల్ వెళ్ళాక టిఫిన్ బాక్స్ రెడీ చేసి ప్యాక్ రెడీ పంపిస్తుంటే, ఒక 10th క్లాస్కి వచ్చిన తర్వాత, సమ్మర్ హాలిడేస్లో ఆగస్ట్ తర్వాత సెప్టెంబర్లో, మమ్మీ అన్లెస్ ఐ నీడ్ ఇట్ యూ డోంట్ గివ్, ఐఎమ్ ప్లీజ్డ్ విత్ గో దేర్ టు ప్లీజ్ గాడ్. అట్లాంటి కొరకు వెంకటేశ్వర స్వామి ఎదురు చూస్తూ ఉంటారు. అంతేగాని సంకటంలో వెంకటరమణుడు అంటే కుదరదు. సంకటం ఇచ్చింది కూడా ఆయనే కదా, వెంకటరమణుడే. అది గ్రహిస్తే అలాంటి కాదు. వన్ డివోటీ హూ లవ్స్ మై టీయర్స్. సో హైట్ ఆఫ్ స్పిరిచువాలిటీ ఈజ్ ద ఎక్స్టెటిక్ ఎబిలిటీ టు ఫాల్ ఇన్ లవ్ విత్ టీయర్స్. దట్స్ పాసిబుల్ ఓన్లీ వెన్ అండర్స్టాండ్ ద రోల్ ఆఫ్ ఎ టియర్, ఇన్నర్ అనాటమీ ఆఫ్ ఎ టియర్ డ్రాప్ అనమాట. కాఫీ బ్రేక్. శుభ్రంగా మంచి పని చేసి రైట్. కాబట్టి అన్లెస్ యు ఆర్ రెడీ బోత్ ఫర్ క్రిటిసిజం అండ్ ప్రైజ్, యూ కెనాట్ బి హ్యాపీ. ఇది రియలిస్టిక్ వరల్డ్. Both are inevitable, both are needed also. Next is difficult sentence to understand. All those who are not ready to be criticized will never be happy. Praise and criticism, two wings. Both do exist, both are necessary. That's the nature of human being, dualistic life. So they gave me brick bats, bouquet. I should be ready for brick bat also, dualism. If there are doctors now, I have one question for neurologist, one for heart specialist. మీరు neurologist కదా? Brain. మీరు క్వశ్చన్ కేలేదు. Prefrontal cortex, different lobes, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, limbic system, emotional brain, amygdala, hippocampus, thalamus, hypothalamus, all this, Now the question is, mostly that's what I heard, I'm a layman. It is said that to a great extent, the left part of the brain controls the right part. To a great extent, though not in every aspect. Similarly, right controls left, left controls right, right? Is it true? Now question is, why should it be so? If left controls left, what happens? Right controls right, what happens? What is the evolution advantage in this? Any idea?
Very good question. I think I should be fine. It's a very good question. First of all, thanks for an enlightening afternoon. And
if it is enlightening, there's enough. I am not much interested in enlightenment. If I am lightened, light and lightening is enough. Ante.
The answer to your question, the left side of the brain sends fibers, which are like electric wires that make us do things with our hands and legs. The left side of the brain controls the right side of the body. The right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. In addition, there's another difference. Language in all right-handed people is on the left side. And in
Analytical skills, that side.
20% of left-handed people also it's on the left
Correct,
side.
true.
So, no, I'm sorry, 80% of left-handed people also on the left side. Only 20% of left-handed people language is on the right side.
Correct.
So those are two differences. Evolutionarily, if you look at it, the brain has two segments. One is called the archicortex, which means the old brain.
Reptilian brain.
It's called the neocortex or the new brain.
Right.
So what differentiates us human beings from animals and insects and fish and birds, we've got a very advanced neocortex. Whereas all species of animals have an archicortex. And so I think when this neocortex was developing, there is a certain area in the back of the brain, it's called the brain stem, which then goes on to become the spinal cord. So you might have heard of midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata. So at that point, these electric wires cross over. And that's probably from an evolutionary thing because most animals did not have a neocortex. And then we developed it. And to kind of adequately handle the functions of both sides, language and emotions and abstract thinking, it was divided between the left and the right neocortices. And the motor sensory, so I'm able to lift my hand, I'm able to touch my kurta on my arm, all of this comes from the opposite side of the brain. So there's a famous neuroscientist in UC San Diego. His name is Villano Ramachandran.
I met him once,
Okay, he's a fascinating.
He was in Hyderabad. We had a small discussion about this also.
Yeah, and it's linked to this. I'm just going to give one.
His book is Telltale Brain, right?
Which one?
Telltale Brain.
Yeah, he came up with this concept of phantom limb syndrome. And what that is so people go for a war, you know, and then they enjoy.
And mirror neurons also his invention, mirror neurons. Mirror neurons.
Maybe. But this phantom limb syndrome, I'll just give one short anecdote, it's fascinating. So let's say somebody was in a factory or in a war or in an accident and they lose a part of their arm.
Correct.
Okay?
He still feels it.
So the person still feels pain in the right arm. And no matter how much you rub some Bengay or anything in the stump of
Correct.
the arm, they feel pain in the fingers which no longer exist.
Correct.
And so because the pain is not there, the pain is in the brain because of the electric wire that is going to the opposite side. So what he came up with is a very interesting concept. He made this person sit in front of a mirror and they can see their reflection of their, so let's say they lost their right hand and he sits in front of the mirror, the left arm will look like the right arm in the mirror. And so then when he scratched and touched and softened the tips of the right arm in the mirror, which is truly his left hand, the pain and the sensation went away. So the moral of the story is a lot of what we feel and do is actually controlled by the brain in different areas. And so that's how the phantom limb syndrome was treated in the opposite part of the brain by looking at a mirror image. So
Thanks for.
It's not due to the nerve optics. Like if you lose hand or leg, that nerve, those nerves still exist, right? Isn't that what happens when you have phantom limb syndrome? Is that your nerves still exist, so you know even if you rub them here, the nerves think, oh, you're rubbing here.
exactly, because if you cut the nerve halfway, it still is perceiving in the brain that the tip of the nerve is irritated. And the only way they could treat that is by mirror imaging it and tricking the brain. So a lot of things that diseases that we have, I think part of it is tackling the mind, tackling the brain, and then a lot of the physical things can also be handled.
The question was, what was the reason major?
He gave already.
Evolutionarily, yeah.
Is it true that he was nominated for Nobel Prize twice?
Yeah, I think so. I think this phantom limb syndrome was one of the things he was nominated, or if he'll get it.
One more question, which I put him also, but he didn't have enough time to answer. Another question is, we have right hand and left hand, right? Usually in all cases, right hand and right leg, they're stronger than left limbs. Why should it be so? If both are equally strong, what happens?
There are some people that are ambidextrous.
No, that's okay, but usually speaking, why did the nature choose this way?
I think it's just because of language dominance. So there's people who are right-handed and left-handed, and their language centers. So there's
No, even strength of the hand also, usually, right is stronger than the left, right leg is stronger.
It's a question of whether you're right-handed or left-handed. And the reason people are right-handed or left-handed is there are two very
No, right hand, left hand kadu, but most of the cases, our right hand is stronger than the left hand in most cases.
use. So
And for leg also. If both are equally strong, what would happen? Why did nature do so?
yeah, I'll tell you why nature did it. Is because there are two important functions in the brain. One is language, and the other one is creativity, innovation, and abstract thought. And so, in most people, the language center is in the left side of the brain,
Correct.
and in the right side of the brain is creativity, artistic nature, music interest, dance interest, painting interest, innovation. All of that is in the humor. This is all poetry. This is all in the right side of the brain. And so the brain had to manage these two. So people became therefore right-handed or left-handed based on the dominance of language.
Correct.
And then if you just use something more and more, you will get stronger with that, you know. But a right-handed person can start using the left hand and become ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous.
Yes.
There is a person called Phineas Gage in brain research. You might have heard him, you know. His skull and rod is still there in Harvard Museum. Anatomical Museum, WAM, they say. Once I visited, that rod is still there. The skull is also still there. He was some New Hampshire, something like Vermont, right? Phineas Gage.
No, I've heard of it. I studied there. But I think,
The biological roots of human behavior.
and the other one which Vileno Ramachandran has studied and is studying is we've grown up listening to Carnatic ragas and Hindustani ragas. And if you see some ragas are like more positive, they make you more awake. And then there's some ragas that are going to put you to sleep, they're more melancholic and stuff. And so he studied that there are a certain set of ragas, like, Raga Nalinakanti or Raga Kalyani. And these are all stimulate the pleasure center or the positive center in the brain, which is why you connect with that vibration of the thing. And so there are 64,000 ragas, and we still haven't studied where each one is stimulating in the brain. So I think part of it is when we say, stress relief from music, it may be tackling some important centers in the brain, and that's why we say teach kids, music at a young age, so they develop an interest later on, and it can be a stress relief.
So thanks for enlightening us. Last one more question. So our head has 100 billion neurons, right? Approximately they say. And then there are neural connections between one neuron. They are called neural pathways. But it said there is a synaptic cleft. They are not actually connected, both the neurons. But that still transfer electrical impulses, right?
Yes.
How does that cleft, in spite of the cleft, how do they get connected to each other?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. So our whole body has trillions of cells, and the only way we can work as one unit is when the trillion cells communicate with each other. And we communicate through only two ways, electricity and chemicals.
Neurotransmitters things.
Yeah, electricity is through the nerve, and chemicals are through hormones and chemical particles. Now what happens is, and that's it, the whole human body is either electricity or chemicals, and that's how we communicate, that's how you have a personality, that's how you can prevent a heart attack, that's how you can kind of avoid various things. Now, what happens is the electric wires are not connected one by one where they're sewed together at the other end. They have what's called an axon, they have an axon, and then they have a dendrite. So the axon is like the head, the dendrites are like
axion,
like the feet and the arms. Now the way one foot of one neuron connects with the head of the other neuron is through the synapse. And what it is in the synapse, the end of the neuron sends some particles of capsules of chemicals, and those go and attach on the other side, and then the next neuron fires and then takes the electricity forward. And the reason this is important is memory is really a collection of neurons in a certain format.
Does hippocampus play a major role in memory? Hippocampus or amygdala?
Yeah, that's in short-term memory is with hippocampus and amygdala.
Long-term memory.
Hippocampus and there's a circuit, and then there's long-term memory. But if you go within, what is happening within the brain, there's actually a series of neurons. Let's just say 5 neurons get together. That's a memory that is stored. And so you can actually change behavior and change your attachment to certain memories because the neurons are not stuck with Fevicol with each other. They are fluid with these synapses. So synapses can disconnect and your neuron can connect with another thing, and you can, you may want to have been a neurosurgeon in childhood, and then you become the best shipbuilder. The reason is your neurons from an early age have changed interests and changed desires and wants, and so that's what's called neuroplasticity, and that's why God created it that way, so that you can change. You're not fixed. You're dynamic.
So neuroplasticity is possible these days, right?
Yeah.
Epigenetics they call it.
Correct.
So thanks for enlightening me, making me wise a little in this area. He's a question. I have a question for you also. You are a heart surgeon, right? Cardiologist. This very heart is a fascinating thing, no? A great head and heart, The brain is a marvel of God, and heart is equally marvelous. And it's covered by a layer called pericardium, right? And the muscle of the heart is never takes rest, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Right from birth till we die. How can that be so strong as not to take rest and still function, any reason? In what is different from ordinary muscle?
So the myocardium, what we call muscle of the heart, is different from the skeletal muscle, which is
Skeletal muscle, right.
arms, the rest of the body, and smooth muscles within the viscera, like lungs and intestines and all that. So the myocardium has special characteristics compared to the musculature elsewhere. And main difference is that the chemical composition and the anatomical composition. The actin and myosin fibers in the myocardium, they have special characteristics which are self-propelling with mitochondria inside the cells. And they utilize fat instead of glucose, and which can provide a lot more energy. Whereas skeletal muscles mainly utilize glucose, which are short. So that's in the short time frame how the myocardium contracts. In the long term, it is capable of adapting, say for example, if you're exercising, it can switch between two pathways metabolically. That's how it will never stop.
One strange thing I heard about memory, I don't know whether it's true or not, it's also said it has a memory, somebody says. Is it true? Supposing in one case, when the heart of a person transferred to some other person, it is said that, I don't know whether it's true or not, he remembers many things about a person. Is it true or not? That's what I heard.
I don't think that there is such evidence. What can happen is, when you have your own heart, and you transplant the heart, it can re-innervate. It may take some time. And that's why we have very fast heartbeat, especially immediately after we transplant the heart, because it has no neuroconnection to the body of the recipient.
So that way it's not so true.
No, it is not.
There are some books also on that,
But there is muscle memory in skeletal muscles. Say, for example, if you go to the gym, or if we do some procedures like heart catheterization, once we train our brain, it automatically is subconscious. We're not putting in conscious act of performing motor function, which is doing anything, like playing music. That is muscle memory. Even in the gym, when you do such type of exercises,
Amazing.
you remember, and it goes into subconscious.
Good.
That is muscle memory. But in the heart,
It's not true, so true. It's not so true. So I don't know how to thank you adequately, both of you, for shedding a lot of light on all these things, I was groping darkness, now things are clear. Thank you so much. నా క్వశ్చన్ చాలా టైం మిగిలింది నాకు హాయిగా ఓకే నీళ్ళు తాగుతున్నాను టైం ఎంత ఇంకెంత టైం ఉంది మనకు టైం ఎంత అయింది ఎంత టైం అని చెప్పాను మనకి ఎంత టైం ఉంది హాఫ్ అన్ అవరా 8 వరకు 7:30 కదా చూద్దాం అమ్మయ్య యువర్ క్వశ్చన్ అయ్యో ఐ షుడ్ బి వెరీ కేర్ఫుల్ బికాస్ they're all scientists and the doctors, especially brain scientists,
It could be a humorous question or it could be a very deep spiritual question. But one of the things that I've been fascinated with is, if you listen to our scriptures, Madhvacharya came out with this concept of dualism where...
Non-dualism, modified non-dualism, right.
Then there were two other learned people, Adi Shankaracharya and
Vallabhacharya, Madhvacharya.
with monism or Advaitam and Vishishtadvaitam or specialized monism, where God
Vishishtadvaita,
there is
sir.
divinity within you and you are part of divinity. So my question is, if God is within us, and let's assume we agree with Adi Shankaracharya and Ramanujacharya where God is within us, then what is the need for a trillion species of all of us over here if there is God, essentially the same God within us? Is this a game to just have fun in this life, or is there a self-purification process of each one of us going through our karma and attaining moksha as a way of God kind of self-purifying himself on a regular basis? So I know there's a funny side and a deep side to this question.
Before I answer your question, Have you heard of Richard Dawkins in USA?
Yes, yes,
God Delusion?
a little bit, yes.
Did you read that?
No, I haven't read, but I've heard him on TED Talk.
And did you read his earlier book called Selfish Gene? Unweaving Rainbow? So this, if you answer it from science point of view, different answer. Philosophically, different answer. If you want an objective scientific basis, different way. If you want to justify philosophy's, our so-called spirituality, not rationalized spirituality, different answer, right? Generally, when it comes to science, existence needs all kinds of things, It needs a peon, it needs a prime minister. It needs principal, it needs a peon, attender. It needs small blade of grass, big. Our existence to sustain, we need all these varieties. Therefore, nature created all these things, right? And they say each man is potentially divine. It has immortal spark, imperishable inside. True. Body is perishable, there's imperishable spark inside, they say, right? So therefore, each man is potentially divine, they say. That's one thing. Let us leave it aside. When you come to Shankaracharya, Advaita, Ramanujacharya, Visishta Advaita, Madhvacharya, Advaita. Now, keeping aside, I'm purely talking about philosophical. If you give scientific touch, they acquire different color. Let us say, think philosophically. In a scientific world, when this truth is one, you cannot come to three different conclusions in science. I don't say I think you have two eyes. I say you have two eyes, that's all. The structure of the heart and brain is common to everywhere. I don't have my own subjective structure of a brain. Similarly, when everything is scientific in the universe, conclusion must be same, one. Right? The moment you give subjective exploration, you come to different conclusions. Reason is this is an intangible area not amenable to scientific intervention or observation. Therefore, depending upon their experience, their insights, they come to different conclusions. The greatest confusion in these three is one wants to establish superiority of the others. So modified, Atma and Jivatma Parama, they are different. No, they are same. Or they can do different, they can attain union, things like that, non-dualism, dualism. It's the simplest answer, even keeping in an LKG student. If you want to teach these things to LKG student, it's simply like this, Imagine there is a rose flower made of gold, right? There is rose, gold. A rose flower made of gold. In the rose flower, gold is not missing, right? For an ordinary person, for a goldsmith, he sees only rose. Point one. For a poet, he sees only rose. Goldsmith sees gold. Poet sees flower. Can you see both? It's a rose made of gold. What the people say is, gold and rose. This world is made by God is one theory, made of God another theory. Right? When you say made of God, God is not missing in the universe. Hello?
Okay.
Important. Gentleman impression ఏంటంటే ప్రపంచంలో గోల్డ్ మిస్సింగ్ అని కొంతమంది, ఫ్లవర్ మిస్సింగ్ అని కొంతమంది. కాబట్టి ఇది అద్వైతం అనుకోండి, గాడ్ ఈజ్ డిఫరెంట్ ఫ్రమ్ విశిష్టాద్వైతలో మోడిఫైడ్ మోనిజం. ద్వైతలో బోత్ ఆర్ డిఫరెంట్. గోల్డ్ ఈజ్ డిఫరెంట్, రోజ్ ఈజ్ డిఫరెంట్. నౌ క్వశ్చన్ ఈజ్, ఇలాంటి ప్యూర్ గోల్డ్ని తీసుకొచ్చి వెన్ యూ కన్వర్ట్ ఏ రోజ్ ఫ్లవర్ బెటరా, గోల్డ్ పక్కన ఉండి ఫ్లవర్ కానట్లుంటే బెటరా? సో గోల్డ్ హ్యాస్ బికమ్ ఎ ఫ్లవర్ నౌ. God has become a universe. God has become a human being and a universe. Here, for an insightful eye, you are not missing gold, In this rose called universe, there is gold also. What's your objection? If it is there, pure essence, not only a lump of gold, it is gold fine, but it can be used, When you convert that into a vessel, it is usable. When you convert it into a flower, it is beautiful. So when God becomes a universe, it gives so much of pleasure, You have a lump of gold, but you have a gold vessel and gold flower. You don't miss anything. So I had to develop an insight into the fact that don't miss the gold, don't miss the rose. So beautiful. So they say it's only most important thing is essence, non-dualistic essence, that is the reality. Rose is not real, gold is real because you can crush the rose, it disappears, but gold remains. You can convert it into something else. But here you're not missing gold at all, God, out of sheer kindness, converted non-dualism into dualism so that that becomes beautiful and usable. Lump of iron undi. Oka doll kattika chesavanikondi useful kada. Andulo iron is not missing. So if you carefully observe anything done by a human being, only God could have done. For example, two people together, they create a human being. Is it a human act? Is it possible? Single cell converting itself a human being, is it an ordinary thing? Touch anything only God could have done. So in this world, you're not missing God at all. Go anywhere in the rose, touch any rose petal, you're not missing gold. Many people think that God is different, this uncertain, that is certain. So anything God does is better, right? When He has converted gold into rose, this is a better thing. When He has converted essence into a dualistic nature called universe, absolutely forever good. Otherwise, God wouldn't have done. So it is a different ways of looking at a reality. They have got their own perceptions. Sometimes, if you raise to some, if scientific status, కొన్ని inadequacies కనపడుతుంటాయి. But great souls, their explanation is absolutely fine. You cannot deny it. Have given us perfect insights into many things. But accept them. So let's not leave the world. In the creation, you're not missing God. God has become creation. One theory is God has created creation. Another thing is God has become. Painter painting different. Carpenter and instrument is different. But dance and dancer are not different. When the dancer disappears, the dancer disappears. When the dancer disappears, dancer disappears. Like because they're children, ఒకసారి డాడీ బేబీ హార్స్ లాగా ఉంటాడు కదా, డాడీ పైన వీడు ఎక్కుతాడు. Daddy is a horse is a daddy. If horse disappears, daddy doesn't. If daddy disappears, horse is not there. The whole of the universe is made of God. Proof ఏంటంటే nothing is natural. Simple. For example, gold. Who could have created gold? Soil, water, touch anything, only God could have created. But you don't look at that way. Look at the birth of human being, your growth, how all these horns even functioning, you don't know anything about it, Biological condition through DNA. It is not something that can be done by a human being. With ultimate omnipotent power only should do that, So that way God cannot be seen, but His power can be felt. You cannot see the electricity, it can be felt through light, fan, that way. Because God is a power, not a person. Power cannot be seen, can be felt, So final definition of God is, scientific definition, God is not a person, but power that is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and ever-present. If there's a definition of God, you don't miss God anywhere. So let's love the world, love the universe, love your bodies. చాలామంది తుచ్చమైన శరీరం అంటారు. క్వశ్చన్ ఈస్, తుచ్చమైన శరీరాన్ని క్రియేట్ చేసేంత తుచ్చమైన వ్యక్తి గాడ్? The fact that when you think you are a child of God, does He give you anything that is worth throwing away? Use it beautifully, everything is blessing, make the best possible use of it, make as peaceful as possible, as possible, leave the world, Live and leave, So that way I had to understand from a different dimension, scientific dimension. Otherwise, get caught up in these philosophical theories, That's one thing. Right?
So there is a real purpose of purification of any soul in the process of rose.
If we call it soul purification for soul, is a big subject. Somebody said, God, if there is a God, say my soul if I have a soul, That way.
Sir, here is a question.
Yes, question. Organizer cannot question, ఎందుకంటే he has a lot of time to question. Here, there, everywhere, They don't have a time. మన ఇంటి దగ్గర కూడా మాట్లాడుకోవచ్చు. టిఫిన్ చేస్తూ.
Referring to what you were saying about duality, a thought that came to my mind was, regarding technology, right? Technology not only brings us closer together, like giving us everything at the tip
True,
of our
true,
fingertips.
true, true.
But it also drives us so far apart.
Absolutely.
Right? It makes us disassociate from society.
No
and
doubt
from
about
itself.
it, right?
So based on this, growing up and living in the current age and day, how might one approach life and like take the good from the duality of things and apply it to become the best version of themselves?
In what way technology prevents you from drawing good from life?
No, what I'm saying is like not just technology, like any advancements or like
So,
developments.
in what way they prevent you?
Like for example, technology, in my perception, like it brings us closer because we can communicate with people
You
all
can,
over the
so-
world very fast.
So, what is the problem?
The problem is because we are doing that, we can reach so many people so far. We tend to forget where we are right now. Like we don't tend to care as much about like the people we are surrounded by, as we're like,
Not
trying to-
necessarily technology, your head and heart can coexist. Here the problem is, if the head is grown at the cost of the heart, there's a problem. There's a fatal combination, golden head, wooden heart. Both can be harmoniously combined. They can coexist, you know. A beautiful head can also have a beautiful heart, you know. There's so many scientists whose heart is absolutely fine, you know. So they're not mutually exclusive, you know. Good heart is not an opposition to good head, you know. Both can coexist. In fact, good head enriches heart, good heart enriches good head. Absolutely fine. Einstein had beautiful head, and good heart also. Many scientists, some didn't have. Even if you don't have all that, you can be as cruel. Hitler so cruel. And there are other cruel, Nero, for example, when there is no so much of science. So your cruelty, kindness, your behavior has nothing to do with that, you know. In spite of all these things, that can be made use of. Knowledge gives you that, wisdom gives you this. Knowledge of the head, wisdom of the heart, you know. Appropriate use of knowledge is wisdom. Have you read a famous Bertrand Russell? A small book has written, Impact of Science on Society. There he discusses the difference between knowledge and wisdom, you know. Knowledge tells you how to invent an atom. But wisdom tells you whether to drop it on somebody's head or not. If you want to drop, whose head you have to drop? Wisdom decides, you know. So that we have to use both. Knowledge gives you success. Wisdom gives you peace and joy, you know. You need both. The goal of all goals is joy and peace. That's possible only through the window of wisdom, you know. So that way, this technology is not in opposition to your good heart, you know. Both can coexist. You should be thankful. Technology has given so many advantages, a lot of pleasure, a lot of thrill. But in dualism, all the time, everything gives joy into sorrow. So by using wisdom, you derive joy, become immune to sorrow. For example, it is raining hard, heavily. I cannot prevent rain, but I can wear raincoat. Can you remain unwet in rain? That is wisdom. This hot sun, burning, scorching sun outside, I cannot lessen the heat of the sun. I can switch on AC, unfurl umbrella, wear sweaters. You know. So similarly, psychologically also, you can do the same feat. Some people give you trouble. They bother you. You cannot change them. Cardinal traits, because there is a neurologist, you know, certain cardinal traits, they're called, you know, there's a trait theory called Allport trait theory. Certain cardinal traits are unchangeable. So don't try to change what is unchangeable. Get adjusted, remain immune. Kabatti, immunity is possible through wisdom, through understanding. For example, a person comes and falls on you, right? You suddenly get angry. If a blind person comes and falls on you, will you get angry? You don't. And he scolds you, do you get angry? You don't. If a wise man or if a healthy person scolds you, get hurt. Here, you have to develop an insight into one thing, that is, even the words of those persons, because there's doctors here, your behavior has genetic roots in DNA. Your behavior, feelings, thoughts, they're controlled by DNA, upbringing, and environment. It's a combined effect of these through. So that way, what he does is also an instrument. His words and feelings, thoughts are instruments in the hands of biology. The puppets in the hands of DNA. They cannot change. They're an instrument. How can you blame an instrument? If somebody stabs you with a knife 100 times, can you blame the knife or the person? So, who appears to be a doer is not in fact a doer. He is also instruments in the hands of biology, unchangeable biology. Therefore, what you do, you understand. Just as the blind man is physically handicapped, he is psychologically handicapped. You know. Once you know he is psychologically handicapped, he is helpless, you cannot change your behavior, you remain unaffected, you know. For that, you have to lose a little ego, that's all, you know. So lose your ego, please others' ego, simple formula. So technology and development of that, they're not an opposition to each other. Both can coexist if you're wise enough. Thank God there is science for so many diseases, for so many inventions. Amazing. So, but if you inject little wisdom into the heart, both can coexist harmoniously. That's my feeling. Fair enough? Yes. Now, my students are asking many questions on young people. Meera, Randy. రింగ్ అవుతుందా శబ్దం లేదు కదా
The question is, so inside our heart, whenever we have some questions, we ask ourselves, right? So how do we identify which is the instinct which we need to follow? For example, anything like your profession or any kind of like you want to do something in the profession, and then when we ask inside, it says like, okay, you do this. I mean, when we do it, it's not the right way. It's happening. So how do I distinguish the instinct that comes up, and the thought which is like gathered by different people and all that? How do I follow my instinct, which always gets confused, in anything, in any kind of activities I do. I think I'm following my instinct, but it is not. It goes.
Gut feeling, they say.
Exactly.
Another word is right.
Yeah. So how do I?
Here, the most important fundamental flaw here is don't completely depend on instinct. Right? Instinct is wiser, but not always wiser. Now, latest research says even the instinct is also scientifically conditioned. There is reasons behind your instinct also. They're studying. This is what latest research says. So, best thing is use your head, all intelligence. Put aside instinct first. Use all intelligence in all possible ways to the extent you can. Think of pros and cons in taking a decision. Use all your past experience, and if necessary, if you feel that somebody is wiser than you are, has more experience, so take his advice, and then sit together. Then the question of instinct comes, only decision making is difficult. When there are equally good opportunities or equally bad opportunities, then you need instinct. So to take coffee or not taking coffee, you don't need instinct. To go to a movie or not to go, you don't need instinct. The role of instinct comes only when there are two equally good opportunities, when torn between these two. Then you depend on instinct. They're also straight away depending on instinct, right? First, most important thing is use all the intelligence and experience that you have. If necessary, take the experience of other people in a healthy way. A few people, not many people. Right? 100 people give 100 opinions. No, very few. And think of pros and cons. Even if you are equally torn between two things in decision making, right? With calm, silent mind, whichever way you are slightly more inclined, you do that. The logic behind is, when right decision is not possible, a right way of taking a decision is there. What's the right way of taking a decision? You take a decision with a disturbed mind, with anxiety, with tension. That way it's slightly blurring, If you calm, silent, and see and surrender yourself to ultimate reality, after doing all this, after doing all that you can, then whichever way you are slightly inclined, do that, That is going to be finally, ultimately, in the long run, finest decision. There you have to wait for everything to happen at the right and ripe time, That way, for everything, don't depend on instinct. Use this, unless it is inescapable, then depend on it. There also, with calm, silent, undisturbed mind. Leave the rest to him. Silent, all that happens is for my good, whether you understand it or not. Take a decision. Finally, in the long run, that is going to be the best decision, But you have to wait, for everything, there's a right and ripe time. Have you heard of Chinese bamboo? It takes 5 years to sprout. Once it's buried under the earth, for nearly 4.5 years, nothing happens. If you're not aware of that, you think it's dead. For everything is right and ripe time. There are Chinese bamboos in our life sometimes. Sometimes what is still more surprising is there's an instinct called cicada, C-A-C-A-D. Have you heard of it, cicada? You have not seen it in America.
They're going to come in a few months.
It invaded few months ago. Chicago, everything. People went there to just see cicadas. If it's a larva, she is dropped into the soil. It burrows itself into the soil. and it stays there. You don't believe the statement unless you video. For 17 years under the ground, not 1 year. Who can believe it's alive for 17 years? It is. After 17 years, billions they come up straight away. Sometimes there are cicadas in our life. Why should I be patient enough, wise enough? That way, unless you know all these things, it's human life very complex. It creates more sorrow than joy. Wisdom, right kind of a wisdom, not subjective wisdom, is the only way. Understand the nature of dualism, nature of teardrop, nature of smile, is there interrelation, then go ahead. So that way, give last importance to instinct, that to calm, silent. People use gut feeling also, they say. Sometimes there's a little brain in the gut, the secondary brain, they say, gut, పెట్టేసింది ఇప్పుడు
So I have a question for.
What's your name? Huh? Praveen. Pranav. Pravan. So Pranav, Pravan.
So I have a question for the neurologist and cardiologist and sir.
They're there,
It's based on what Sir started for the cardiologist. So when it's about the fatigue of the heart. When you start, like, say you're.
అమ్మాయి నేను కాఫీ తాగుతూ పెట్టండి కాఫీ దగ్గర కరెక్ట్ కాఫీ టైంలో క్వశ్చన్ వేస్తాడు అబ్బాయి అమ్మా మీ క్వశ్చనా హలో అలేఖ్య రైట్ అఖిల కొద్దిగా లౌడ్లీ అమ్మ
How to psychologically be happy?
Psychologically be happy. Simple question. It's a great answer. There are so many happiness courses in Yale by lady, in Berkeley, in Harvard. Earlier there was a psychologist, Ben Shire, he used to run courses. Now different psychologists run courses. There are hundreds and thousands, nearly 60,000 books on happiness. And many articles. So many theories. So that way, a question is simple, but answer to be simple, one or two questions one can answer, but still questions arise. Straight answer to your question is another question. First of all, identify the stimulus that disturbs you. They are what are called thieves of joy. When you question how to be happy, it simply means you are disturbed, right? You are unhappy. There must be a reason for that unhappiness. There are three areas. One is physical, health and other things. The other is psychological, other is cerebral. You don't get a job, you don't achieve, you don't self-actualize. Then there is a theory called self-actualization by Abraham Maslow, humanistic psychology. So that way there are three areas. So sources may be, unhappiness may be only physical or physical and psychological both, and cerebral also. So your reason belongs to which area? Huh? Health problem. When you are really healthy, what should you do? Right? You should visit a doctor. There are doctors.
There could be anyone with a health issue.
Now, for all the three areas, the three different answers. Right? It's a big seminar, at a hall. It's a big process. Generally, physical problem, you just go to doctor, take necessary care, medication, exercise, good food, vitamins, and take all necessary possible care as far as health is concerned. If it is psychological, different area. The person, the things that disturb you, you have to understand the nature of those people, right? By understanding the nature of it, by becoming immune to it, you can remain indifferent. I told you, if you are a good person, you don't hurt others. Good. But others can hurt you. So if you are good, it's not enough. Good is good, but it's not enough. You should be wise also. That means be wise enough not to hurt others, and also not to be hurt by others. That is wisdom. So if you are good, you cannot avoid sorrow. You should be wise also. To do so, you understand the nature of that person. What is he saying? Should I really get hurt? Does it really deserve my attention? Like that, if you go on question rationalizing, you find that there's no reason to get hurt. Sometimes you have future fears. Don't you say anticipated anxiety in psychology? ఎప్పుడో జరిగేది ఇప్పుడే ఊహించుకుంటాం. And there's also called it catastrophizing, catastrophize. So that way, the real nature of the stimulus. If you look into it and find the reason, that there's nothing to worry. Suppose something is there in the darkness, There are two ways of becoming fearless. And you may feel that I'm a very strong person. Even if it is a thief, or a dog, or a tiger, I can face it. Or I know a policeman, I can give a call. Or they're my neighbors, I can shout at them. Or I have a rifle, I can shoot. In these ways, you can make yourself fearless. The best way is light up a torch, find that is a twig of a tree. Then also disappears. So that way, if you know the real nature, most of the problems, they are not as big as they appear to be. Usually in our real life, distant things look smaller. But psychologically, distant things look bigger. The moment you go nearer, they become smaller and smaller, That's human psychology. So that way, you have to use here wisdom. Any problem, this is psychological way, the spiritual way of solving it, They're not mutually exclusive, they go hand in hand. So psychologically, know that any problem of any sort, again given by ultimate authority, right? Here one small sentence is, God or ultimate nature does not give you problem, two things, that you cannot solve, that you don't need. God is not a sadist. The fact that he has given you a problem means you need it. Darkness you need. Krishna Pasham antaru kada. So Krishna Pashalni preminche vyakti Krishna puja akkarledu. So Krishna Pashaladu Krishnude pampichadu kada. So God is not a sadist. So therefore, he never sends a problem that you don't need, problem that you cannot solve, provided you make the best use of your psychophysical energies. That's a condition, right? One thing. So therefore, he sent it, nothing to worry. Then, it's not as insoluble as it appears to be. It's not as big as it appears to be. It looks bigger than you are. Therefore, you develop anxiety. As you go, the way out of a problem is through it, they say. You go nearer, it becomes smaller, it disappears. Small example I give you. Long ago, the psychological, the spiritual way. Psychological way, one example to make it more clear is, there was one child, mother, and she brought a suitcase. It was a one room. Ask the small child to go and put it in the room. It's a heavy suitcase. That boy cannot lift it, and goes and tells mommy, Mommy, I'm a small child, it's too heavy for me to lift, and you ask me to put it in the next room. How can I? Go and try. Observe the suitcase. When you observe the suitcase, there are 4 wheels. He not lift it, he can just drag it. He was not aware of it. So by using little of intelligence, he understood the aim of mommy. Next time it so happened, there's a huge bag, gunny bag. Mommy said, put it inside. It does not have heels. It's too heavy for me. Again went and asked her, Mommy, are you mad? It does not have wheels. Too big. Go and try, When he lifted, that was full of cotton, not rice, Most of the problems are like this, They're not as big as they appear to be. Unnecessary catastrophized situations, So once you know it, problem ceases to be a problem. And it is there because to enrich you, to make you wise another way. Otherwise, God doesn't give you. Need it some way or the other. God never gives a problem that your role does not need it. And spiritual way of tackling is another thing, But spirituality, psychology, they are in opposition to each other. They go hand in hand. If you believe in God, or higher power, or nature, or omnipotent energy ruling the entire universe, whenever I'm asked this question, I'm reminded of a small incident that happened to my child, my daughter. I shared it nearly half a dozen times with many people. My daughter, just like you, she is also here. When she was a small child, my daughter age koncham peddaga undepudu, I was in Nizamabad. One day she rushed to my room and she was sharing a dream. Daddy, I had a funny dream in my life, in my dream. Telugulo maatladutundi. Kala vachindi. Chala bhayankaramaina kala. Em kala ante kalalo she was sleeping. Dream within the dream. In the dream, she was sleeping. Then, when she was closing her eyes, a huge, big dagger was trying to pierce on the stomach. She suddenly opened her eyes, see the tip of the dagger, started crying, When she slowly glanced up, it was bigger, 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 still frightening, shuddering, sending a spine down her, chill down her spine and tongue. Paina chuste, a highly mighty hand holding it, trying to pierce her into stomach. She let out a huge cry in the dream. This was a dream and cheptu. Then I happened, what next? Then she started laughing. Why are you laughing? Daddy, the hand that was holding that sword and trying to pierce me is you. How can a father, whether if he holds a dagger or tip of the dagger, can pierce me? At the end of each problem, God is standing there, your father. Once you know spiritually, at the end of each problem, God is your father is standing there. Problem is not problematic, The spiritual way. Do both, Do this, do that. That I think if it's a problem is psychological, Physical, there are doctors. Take care, Most of us have psychological problems. Problems of this sort only, That I think is the... You have a question, yes.
Like with this evolving media and digital electronics
Okay,
and
right.
all,
Okay.
we see a lot of advantages and all because we are there.
Absolutely.
At the same time,
Blessings of technology, right. Because, let all the others say, question is, sometimes, I have a funny feeling, very strange. Some of you may not appreciate it, For me, the unanswered question is more beautiful. Question is beautiful only as long as it is not answered. Once it is answered, the beauty becomes disfigured, Sometimes I don't feel like disfiguring the beauty of your questions, Slightly funny answer. Okay, now we can question.
okay, we see a lot of slavery, like the kids they are
Slavery.
addicted to the electronics,
Correct.
like disturbing their sleep cycle.
Correct.
Like, can you please give us some insight on the neurological effects of having long time being on the electronics with their cell phones every time?
Good. Yeah, your problem is more or less everybody's problem. Universal problem, First one universal fact you have to remember. Okay, universal standard fundamental fact is problems always exist right from the birth of the universe till you die. In some form or the other, they change their form, but they do it because as long as there is a death, there is a problem. There cannot be a greater problem than the death. So death has smaller problems in dualism. The smaller joys, smaller problems. They change their color, shape, but they do exist. So having a problem is a common problem for the entire humanity. This birth, death, two things, right? Greatest blessing, greatest curse. When those two exist, these two things in smaller version exist in everybody's life at every time more or less. In mathematics, there's a word called fractal. Have you heard of it? Fractal? There's a triangle at a same smaller triangles you have, Snowflakes, fractals, they say. The fractorial structure of universe, When there are big problems, birth and death, they, in minor version, they exist in everywhere, every time. They change the forms. Here now technology, earlier something else. Now problems were shared, in no way less than the problems were earlier shared, Go and ask your grandparents or your parents. Different kind of a problem in different form. So problem always exists, right? One thing. So accept the problems. You can have two things. There are some problems which are uncontrollable beyond our control, right? Some can be controlled. Let's control what can be controlled. Leave the rest to nature, uncontrollable part, joyously, happily. So all that you can do is, depending upon the nature of the shell, you have to choose a solution. For every shell, you can have the same solution. They spend more time on laptop or cell phone. So don't straight away tell, do this, don't do that. That's called helicopter parenting or tiger. Such mothers are called tiger mothers, There are different parenting styles, The moment you say, do this, don't do that, you're inviting a problem, So you should understand slightly developmental psychology, child psychology. Never say do this, don't do that. Be a what you call a dolphin mother. There's a parenting style called dolphin parenting or lighthouse parenting. So silently, indirectly draw his attention to something else. Don't say no. Your no should be sandwiched in between two yes. Everywhere, even to your boss, you cannot straight away say no. Say no in such a way that you should feel it as yes. It's called sandwich technique. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Supposing you are asking for he says no. Or he wants you to do something which you cannot. Immediately don't say no. Yes. Slowly introduce yourself, introduce him to the problem. Okay, sir, I will do that, But if there's some problem, it's very difficult, but it doesn't matter. I can take care of it, like that. Similarly, child, slowly you have to draw into something else, You cannot straight away pull away from TV. Present to him something more interesting than that, So that way, mother should have a lot of patience and understand the child's psychology. So depending upon the nature of the psychology of a child, you have to adapt different styles, Slowly, steadily, surely. It depends upon the wisdom of a parent, and patience of a parent, That's the only solution. But problems do exist every time in different form, There are solutions, but new problems emerge. As long as there is death in dualism, it's called the dual of life. By using wisdom, you can convert dual into duet, That is your wisdom, Problem of all mothers. Can't do anything. This is the only way to do. But straight away don't say no to your child, Once they grow up, you are no longer a mother. You are just a friend, You have to change your role into a child. Mother should become the child of your son, not child of daughter, If you cross 60 and if your children grow up and finish their education, do jobs and get married, then you have to listen to them. Then they listen to you. Once a mother is no, always a mother, no. Can you become a child to the mother? Now you listen to them. You cannot change their opinions. Don't try to get disappointed, Once they get married, you should be still more careful. Right? You have to follow laws of life, Leave the rest to God. Strictly speaking, have you heard of a writer called Khalil Gibran? Very world-famous poet. Next to Bible, his books are most sold out like prophet, He says, your children are not your children. First son, your children are not your children. Because your uterus, womb, was biologically rented house for 9 months. You did not make the child. Did you make her eye, her liver, her this, that? You never knew what was happening inside your stomach. The ultimate power expressing itself biologically made it possible. For example, in this room, I rent it for 9 months, prepare a computer. Just because I have prepared a computer in this room, can the room claim that it's a computer? It's I who made it. Because it was made in your room, that doesn't mean you made it possible. Some ultimate higher power in the form of biology made it possible. So who is the real mother? She is Devaki, you are Yashoda. Right? If you remember that, your child has 2 sets of parents. Terrestrial parent, celestial parent. What cannot be done by you, that parent will do. Have trust in that. Do all that you can, Yashoda, leave the rest to Devaki. If you develop this kind of insight, you're not much worried about your child, Ultimate power will take over. That's how somehow it will take care, That I think is the answer to your partial question. Seventh అయింది.
Last 2 questions.
Last 2 questions, sir. మీరు వద్దు, వేరే వాళ్ళని అడగండి.
నా క్వశ్చన్
వేరే వాళ్ళు ఇచ్చారు.
ఈ క్వశ్చన్ అడుగుతానే మీరే చెప్తారు సార్.
He wants to remain anonymous, sir. The person wants to remain anonymous. ఆ పేరు చెప్పదలుచుకోలేదంట. అలా కాదు,
మీరే చెప్తారు.
మీరు చెప్పండి. ఆ పేరు చెప్పమన్నారు. ఎవరన్నా కానీ పేరు చెప్పమన్నారా, చెప్పలేదా? చెప్పమన్నారా?
అనుపమ్.
షీఈ్ నాట్ హియర్.
Is there a way we can get out of past karmas? Anyway, we can get out of predetermined life that we are leading right now. Is meditation the only way? Is suffering inevitable?
It's a short question which invites a long answer. Reason ఏంటంటే, if I give 1 word, 2 word, 5 sentences, from that answer, 10 more questions will arise. The nature of the answer is like that. If I answer those 10 questions, from that, 10 more questions will arise. The nature of the question is like that, So right from the beginning, we have to train, like, ఆలు కాగుణింతము ఇవన్నీ చెప్తే తప్ప హౌ టు రీడ్ ఎ పారాగ్రాఫ్ ఎలా రాదో, ఇది అలాంటి ఏరియా. ఫస్ట్ కర్మ, పాస్ట్ కర్మ అంటే ఏంటి, నీ ఒపీనియన్ ఏంటి, వాట్ యు మీన్ బై దట్, అక్కడి నుంచి మొదలవుతుంది. అక్కడి నుంచి క్లియర్ చేసుకుంటూ రావాలి సైంటిఫిక్గా, కన్విన్సింగ్గా. దానికి ఒక సెమినార్ టాపిక్ అది. ఒక అట్లీస్ట్ 6 hours ఉంటే మళ్ళీ ఆన్సర్లోంచి క్వశ్చన్స్ రానట్లు చెప్పొచ్చు. ఇప్పుడు ఒక మాట చెప్పామనుకో, వెరీ కర్మ అనే మాట ఉంది. ఇలాంటి క్వశ్చన్ వేసాను. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఒక తమాషా చెప్తున్నాను. చెట్టు పైన 2 పావురాలు ఉన్నాయి. ఒక పావురాన్ని వేటగాడు కొట్టాడు, అది చచ్చిపోయింది. సో ఈ పావురము వేటగాడు చేతిలో చంపబడేంత పాపం చేసిందా పావురం? పావురం చేసిందా? అట్లా. సో పాపం మనిషికేనా, మిగతా జీవులకు ఉండదా? ఒక ఫిషర్మెన్ నెట్ వదిలాడు, 10,000 చేపలు పడ్డాయి. అవన్నీ కరకర ఉడికిచ్చేస్తాం మనం. ఈ 10,000 చేపలు పాపం చేసి మిగతా చేపలు చేయలేదా? తెలియదు. అందరు చనిపోతారు. పాపం చేయడం వల్లనే చనిపోతామా? డాక్టర్స్ ఉన్నారు, వ్యాధులు వస్తాయి, పాపం చేయడం వల్లనే వస్తాయా? అట్లా తెలియదు. నేను క్వశ్చన్ అడుగుతున్నాను. కాబట్టి ఇది ఇట్లాంటి ఏరియా. పాపం వేరు, కర్మ వేరు, మెడిటేషన్ నేను ఇవాళ ఈ టాపిక్స్ అన్నీ కూడా స్లైట్లీ డీపర్ టాపిక్స్, ఫండమెంటల్స్ నుంచి ట్యాకిల్ చేసుకుంటూ రావాలి. కర్మ థియరీ గురించి. సఫరింగ్ అంతే. 2 kinds ఆఫ్ సఫరింగ్ దేర్ ఆర్. మ్యాన్ మేడ్, హోమ్ మేడ్ స్పన్, స్వగృహ ఫుడ్ అంటారు కదా, స్వగృహసార ఒకటి, అంటే క్రియేటెడ్ బై యువర్ ఓన్ ఇగ్నరెన్స్. రెండవది, యాజ్ అ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఇన్ఎవిటబుల్ డ్యూయలిస్టిక్ ఎసెన్స్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్ దే కమ్. ఫర్ డెత్ ఉంది, మీ కర్మలో కాదు డెత్. ఆల్ ఆర్ డైయింగ్ నాట్ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ కర్మ, ఇన్ అన్అవాయిడబుల్ ఒక డ్యూయలిస్టిక్ రియాలిటీ. దానిలో వచ్చే కర్మ ఒకటి, సారో. ఈ 2 వేరు. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, if I close all the doors of this hall, there is a darkness. It is created by me. This can be solved only by me, by opening the window. అంతేగాని తలుపు మూసి సూర్యునికి 1000 సంవత్సరాలు ప్రార్థన చేసినా, ఏ హోమం చేసినా వెళ్తారు రాదు. ప్యూర్ సైన్స్. Therefore, God's grace works through law. If I use slightly tricky word, God is not a father, but father-in-law. Father-in-law, L-A-W, law, father who follows the laws. Father అంటే ఓన్లీ లవ్. లవ్ ద్వారా ఇఫ్ ఫాలోడ్. ఇప్పుడు ఇట్స్ నాట్ ద డాక్టర్ హూ క్యూర్స్ యూ, డాక్టర్స్ ప్రిస్క్రిప్షన్ క్యూర్స్ యూ, నాట్ గాడ్స్ లాస్. జస్ట్ ఓపెన్ ద డోర్, ఇమ్మీడియట్ లైట్ కమ్స్. నో నీడ్ టు ప్లీజ్ గాడ్, యూఆర్ ఫాలోయింగ్ ద గాడ్స్ లాస్. అదే రాత్రి చీకటి అయిందనుకోండి, తలుపు తెరిచిన అది న్యాచురల్, మీ క్రియేషన్ వల్ల వచ్చింది కాదు. దట్ ఈస్ నెసెసరీ డార్క్నెస్. Let there be light. Wind up your work. Look at the stars, moon, like a monarch of the sky, gliding in the beautiful, enjoy moonlit night. Many people don't do that, They don't even look at the stars. తెలుగులో కృష్ణశాస్త్రి అనే కవి ఉండేవాళ్ళు, విన్నారు? మీకు తెలుగు వచ్చు కదా అంతా చాలామందికి. అతను అంటాడు చంద్రుడిని, నీలాభ్ర సరస్సులో నిండు జాబిల్లి అంటాడు. సరస్సు అంటే నీలంగా ఉండే సరస్సులో నిండు జాబిల్లి. నక్షత్రాలు మెస్మరైజింగ్. కర్ణశ్రీ అంటారు. గగన సౌధాంగణమున దేవతా స్త్రీలు దీపాలు తీర్చినాడు అంటే, గగనం అనే సౌధాంగణములో దేవతాస్త్రీలు దీపాలు పెట్టారా అన్నట్లు అనిపిస్తుంది కదా. కాబట్టి చూసే కవిని బట్టి దాన్ని బట్టి ఉంటాయి. రైట్ను. సో చూస్తూ నిద్రపో, హ్యావ్ స్వీట్ డ్రీమ్స్, గెట్ అప్, స్టార్ట్ యువర్ వర్క్. సో దట్ ఈస్ అ నెససరీ డార్క్నెస్. దట్ వే అన్అవాయిడబుల్ నెససరీ సారోస్ ఉంటాయి, మనం క్రియేట్ చేసుకున్న సారోస్ ఉంటాయి. మనం క్రియేట్ చేసుకున్న సారోస్ విజ్డమ్లో మార్చుకోవచ్చు. అన్అవాయిడబుల్ సారోస్ మీరు అనుభవిస్తే ఫర్ యువర్ గుడ్. అది అక్కడ యూ కెనాట్ రిజెక్ట్. జాయ్స్లీ హగ్ దమ్ టు యువర్ బాజమ్. అందుకే హగ్ ఆల్ సీజన్స్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్, హగ్ లైఫ్ యాజ్ అ హోల్, హగ్ స్ప్రింగ్, హగ్ ఆటమ్, హగ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్. లేకపోతే ఆయనకు అన్ని జాబులు వచ్చాయి, నాకు రాలేదు, ఆయనంత రిచ్ అయ్యాడు, నేను కాలేదు, అంత ఫేమస్ అయ్యాడు, నేను కాలేదు అనుకుంటా ఉంటే ఇలాగే పోతారు. మనకు చక్రవర్తులకే దిక్కు లేదు. Napoleon, his last days was in St. Helena jail. The person who said, impossible, the word that never existed in the dictionary of my life అన్న వ్యక్తి. చక్రవర్తుల గురించి ఏం రాశారు మన కరుణశ్రీ గారు. పోయిరి పాదుషాలు, పడిపోయిన సౌధములెల్లా, మాయమైపోయే సమస్త సంపదలు, పోవుచు పూచిక పుల్లనైన గొంపోయిరి అన్నట్లు. చక్రవర్తి షాజహాన్ వాజ్ ఇంప్రిజన్డ్ బై హిస్ ఓన్ సన్. చక్రవర్తులు ఉన్నవాళ్ళు యవ్వాని కోటగోడపై రవితేరులు పచారులు చేశాను. అంటే వాళ్ళ కోటలు ఎంత పెద్దగా ఉన్నాయంటే సూర్యుని రథాలు తగులుతున్నాయన్నంత పెద్దగా. యవ్వాని కోటగోడపై రవితేరు పచారు చేశాను, యవ్వాను పాదపీఠికి నరేంద్ర కిరీట చిరత్న రత్నములు దివ్యలై ఉషస్సులు దిద్దాను. అంటే ఒక సామంతరాజులు వచ్చి వాళ్ళ కిరీటాలు వంచి పాదానికి నమస్కరిస్తే ఆ కిరీట కాంతులు వాళ్ళ పాదాలకు పారాణి రాసినట్లుంటుందని. యవ్వాని పాదపీఠికి నరేంద్ర కిరీట చిరత్న రత్నములు దివ్యలై ఉషస్సులు దిద్దాను, ఆ బహరాము గోరిపై గువ్వల గుండ్లు కట్టుకొన్నాను, కూసెన్ జంబుకములు వృకంబులు అంటారు. ఇది పరిస్థితి. దీనికి అంత గొడవ. దిస్ వాట్స్ కాల్డ్ కాస్మిక్ కమ్యూనిజం. దేర్ ఇస్ ఇన్ఈక్వాలిటీ ఇన్ రోల్స్ అనేది ఇస్ ఎగ్జిస్టెన్షియల్ నెసెసిటీ కాబట్టి నేచర్ క్రియేట్ చేసింది. బట్ గోల్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ గోల్స్ ఫైనల్ సేమ్, జాయింట్ పీస్నెస్ సేమ్. ఐ టోల్డ్ యూ నో, ప్యూన్ ఇన్ ద ప్రైమ్ మినిస్టర్ ఆఫీస్, let me repeat, district collector and a dishwasher, mouse and a minister in the cabinet, mouse in the kitchen, minister in the cabinet. ఏమి తేడాలి హ్యాపీనెస్ ఉండట్లో కనపడుతుంది. None in the world is happier than you are, except a wise man. Go and test, you know. Don't worry much about it, you know. They appear to be. Tomorrow seems to be greater than today, but it's not, you know. All tomorrows is equal to today's. కానీ ఉన్నట్లు కనపడడం వల్ల మూమెంట్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్ ఈజ్ పాసిబుల్. దేర్ ఫర్ ఆ ఇల్యూజన్ పెట్టాడు నేచర్. అన్లెస్ టుమారో అపియర్స్ గ్రేటర్ దెన్ టుడే, ఇట్ విల్ మూవ్ టువర్డ్స్ టుమారో. బట్ వన్స్ టుమారో బికమ్స్ టుడే, యు ఆర్ యాజ్ హ్యాపీ యాజ్ యు ఆర్, అంతే. దీన్ని హెడనిక్ అడాప్టేషన్ టెక్నికల్ సైకాలజీలో హెడనిక్ ట్రెడ్మిల్ అంటారు. రన్ అండ్ ట్రెడ్మిల్, బట్ యు ఆర్ వేర్ యు ఆర్. సో యువర్ సుపీరియర్స్ ఆర్ నాట్ హ్యాపీయర్ దాన్ యు ఆర్. గో అండ్ టెస్ట్, నో. దిస్ కాల్డ్ కాస్ట్ కమ్యూనిజం. దీని లాజికల్ ఆన్సర్ ఏంటంటే, లాజికల్ ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్ ఏంటంటే, ఇఫ్ యూ థింక్ యువర్ ఆల్ చిల్డ్రన్ ఆఫ్ గాడ్, మీకు 100 మంది పిల్లలు ఉంటే మీ ఆస్తిపాస్తులు పంచాలంటే అందరికి ఈక్వల్గా పంచుతారు కదా. గాడ్ ఫాదర్ మదర్ రోల్డ్ ఇంటూ వన్ అయినప్పుడు అతి ముఖ్యమైన ఆస్తి ఆనందం కదా, పీస్ కదా, అది ఈక్వల్గా పంచాలి కదా. ప్రైమ్ మినిస్టర్ ఎక్కువ మీకు తక్కువ ఇస్తే ఉండదు, కానీ అట్లా ఇచ్చినట్లు కనపడతాడు, కానీ ఈక్వల్గా పనిచేస్తాడు. ద ప్యూన్ ఇన్ ద ప్రైమ్ మినిస్టర్ ఆఫీస్ ఇస్ నాట్ హ్యాపీయర్ దాన్ ద ప్రైమ్ మినిస్టర్. వెళ్ళి చూడండి. వైజ్ మ్యాన్ నోస్ ఇట్. సో ఇట్ నాట్ డిస్టర్బ్డ్ బై ద ఫ్లక్చువేషన్స్ ఇన్ ద లక్ అన్నమాట. ఇప్పుడు ఒక $100 నోట్ ఉంది, 100 కాయిన్స్ ఉన్నాయి. చిన్నపిల్లోనికి ఇస్తే ది కాయిన్స్ లంప్ ఆఫ్ గ్రూప్ ఆఫ్ కాయిన్స్, హీప్ ఆఫ్ కాయిన్స్ ఆర్ గ్రేటర్ దెన్ $100 నోట్ అంటాడు. దిస్ ఓన్లీ డినామినేషనల్ డిఫరెన్స్. దిస్ ఈస్ నెసెసరీ ఫర్ ఎగ్జిస్టెన్స్. ప్రతిదానికి $100 ఇవ్వలేం కదా, చిన్న టీ తాగితే కూడా. సింప్లీ డిఫరెంట్ రోల్స్ ఆర్ నెసెసరీ ఫర్ ద ఎగ్జిస్టెన్స్. లైక్ డైనింగ్ టేబుల్ పైన డిఫరెంట్ వెసల్స్ ఉన్నట్టు, బిగ్గర్ సైజ్, స్మాలర్ సైజ్. అంతేగాని ఇట్ ఇస్ నాట్ గ్రేటర్ దాన్ దట్ కదా. ఆల్ ఆర్ నెసెసరీ. వాట్ ఈస్ కామన్ టు ఎవ్రీబడి ఈస్ జాయింట్ పీస్. ఏం ప్రాబ్లం? దీన్ని కాస్మిక్ కమ్యూనిజం అంటాం. సో కమ్యూనిజం యూ డోంట్ హ్యావ్ టు అచీవ్, ఇట్ ఈస్ దేర్ ఆల్రెడీ, బీ అవేర్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్. అది రిచర్ మ్యాన్ ఈజ్ నాట్ హ్యాపీర్ దాన్ పూర్ మ్యాన్, యూ నో. Poor is as rich as the rich, rich is as poor as the poor. Wise man knows it. కాబట్టి దేనికి వరిగాడు. ఎవరు మనొక అది సేమ్ కరుణశ్రీ అన్నట్లు, ఉండగ పూరి పాకయు చిన్న హట్టు, ఉండగ పూరి పాకయు పరుండగ చిన్ని చాపయు, రొట్టెలు 1 2 భుజింప, డెందమంటే హార్ట్, డెంద మలరింప ప్రేయస చెంతనుండగా, లవ్ కావాలి కాబట్టి, పండుగ కాదే దండుగా కాదే భ్రష్ట నికృష్ట కొలువులు చేయటన్ అంటాడు అన్నట్టు. కాబట్టి వన్స్ యూఆర్ అలైవ్ ఫిజికలీ మెంటలీ హెల్దీ, అలైవ్ యూఆర్ ఫిజికలీ మెంటలీ హెల్దీ, నథింగ్ టు యువర్ మినిమమ్ నీడ్స్, యువర్ గ్రేటెస్ట్ గోల్ అకార్డింగ్ టు గాడ్ ఈజ్ ఓవర్, అకార్డింగ్ టు నేచర్. మిగతావన్నీ అబ్జెక్టివ్స్. యు ఆర్ ద నౌన్. యు ఆర్ గ్రేటర్ దెన్ ఆల్ దట్ యు హ్యావ్ అండ్ యు ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు హ్యావ్. యువర్ నెక్ ఈజ్ గ్రేటర్ దెన్ ఎనీ నెక్లెస్ ఇన్ ద వరల్డ్. యువర్ హెడ్ ఈజ్ గ్రేటర్ దెన్ ఎనీ క్రౌన్ ఇన్ ద వరల్డ్. Foot is greater than any shoe. You are greater than anything you have. They are all adjectives. You are the noun. Only noun can give you everlasting happiness, lasting happiness at least. Wise man is aware, God, don't sacrifice neck for the sake of a necklace, head for the sake of the crown. Wise man does it, Otherwise, therefore, wise man is not disturbed by anything. He knows the reality of the nature of the reality. None is superior to, cannot be also. Cosmic communism. They appear to be, so that movement of life is possible. ఆ ఇల్యూజన్ లేకపోతే ముందు జరగదు కదా. ఒక టీ కొట్టి వాడు ఈజ్ ఎనఫ్ అనుకుంటే వాడు పెద్ద కొట్టు పెట్టలేడు. ఇండస్ట్రియల్ గాలి ఇల్యూషన్ ఉండాలి. టాటా బిర్లా దేవర్ నాట్ మీకన్నా పెద్ద హ్యాపీగా ఉండరు. ఇప్పుడు చూడండి, గోట్ ఎనీ బిలియనియర్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ హెమింగ్వే, యువర్ అమెరికన్ రైటర్ who got Nobel Prize in 1954 for his novel Old Man and the Sea. The first novel, The Sun Also Rises. He shot himself dead. Nobel laureate shooting himself dead. Your Van Gogh, famous painter, shot himself dead. Sylvia Plath, and the Pulitzer Prize winner, she put her head in the oven, turned on, committed suicide. Virginia Woolf, famous writer of To the Lighthouse, drowned herself in the river called Ouse. What does that mean, I have everything to live for except the desire to live అంటాడు. ఎన్నివన్నీ ఇట్లాగే ఉంటుందన్నమాట. No less a person than Shakespeare said, as flies to wanton boys. There's a play called King Lear, as flies to wanton, WANTON. As flies to wanton boys, are we to the gods? They kill us for their sport, ఒకసారి ట్రై చేసి అనిపిస్తాయి. Life is a tale, tale story. Life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. థామస్ హార్డీ పేరు ఉన్నారు, గ్రేట్ ట్రెజడియన్, టెస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది డెబరబుల్, ఇలాంటివి నావల్స్ రాశారు. హ్యాపీనెస్ ఈజ్ లైక్ ఎ ఫిట్ఫుల్ ఫ్లాషెస్ ఆఫ్ లైట్నింగ్ అగెన్స్ట్ డార్క్ ల్యాండ్స్కేప్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్. తెలుగు వాళ్ళు ఏడ్చారు, కృష్ణశాస్త్రి ఏడ్చాడు కదా, నాకు ఉగాదులు లేవు, నాకు ఉషస్సులు లేవు, నేను హేమంత కృష్ణానంత శర్వరిని, ఎవరు అనుకుంటారో నన్ను శోక భీకర తీవ్ర లోకైకపతిని అంటారు. అందరూ ఏడవడమే. కాబట్టి కార్చుము కంటనేరు, కాలువలై స్రవింప ఓదార్చెడు వారు లేరు, గుండెను గుండె ఎందున చేర్చి హృది చెమ్మగిల్లగన్ కరుణామయాశ్రువులు కార్చెడు వారు లేరు, చీల్చని విషాదము మోదపు పూల గుండెని, మోదం అంటే సంతోషం. ఇది నేచర్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్ అన్నమాట. ఒక్క వైజ్ మ్యాన్ తప్ప నన్ కెన్ బి హ్యాపీర్ దాన్ యూ ఆర్. ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ ఫీల్ జెలస్ ఆఫ్ ఎనీబడి, ఫీల్ జెలస్ ఆఫ్ వైజ్ పర్సన్, నాట్ ద పర్సన్ హూ ఈస్ గ్రేటర్ దాన్ యూ ఆర్, రిచర్ దాన్ యూ ఆర్, మోర్ ఫేమస్ దాన్ యూ ఆర్. దిస్ రైటర్ గా డచెస్ అమాల్ఫీ నాటకం రాసిన వెబ్స్టర్, మన ఈ డిక్షనరీ రాసిన వెబ్స్టర్ కాదు, సమదర్ వెబ్స్టర్. ఈ సేస్ గ్లోరీ, GLORY అంటే కదా దేనికొరైతే పాకులాడతామో, గ్లోరీ ఇస్ లైక్ గ్లోవం, మినుగురు పురుగంటాం. వన్స్ ఫ్రమ్ ఎ డిస్టెన్స్ ఇట్ అపేర్స్ యాజ్ ఇఫ్ దెర్ ఇస్ హీట్ అండ్ లైట్. Once you touch it, there is neither heat nor light. The sky is blue for everyone all the time. Take a flight into it, blueness disappears. దూరాన్ని ఎక్కడో హొరైజన్లో ఆకాశం భూమి కలిసినట్లుంటాయి. అక్కడికి వెళ్దామని ఒకడు బయలుదేరాడు అనుకో, మీకన్నా 10 మైళ్ళ ముందు ఉంటాడు, అది ఈజ్ నియర్ టు హొరైజన్ అనుకుంటాం. an illusion. So that movement is possible. Wise man knows all the tricks of the trade, tricks of the life, So that danne sthita pragnata bhagavad-gitalo steadfast wisdom antadu Krishna. Dukheshuni dignamana slokam akkade Sankhya yogamala laga. So that is how life is, right? ఇవన్నీ పక్కన పెట్టి హాయిగా టీ తాగండి, టిఫిన్ చేయండి, లేదా మీకు ఇష్టమైన మూవీ వాచ్ చేయండి, ఇష్టం పుస్తకం చదవండి, ఫాల్ ఇన్ లవ్, ఫాల్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్, ఎవ్రీథింగ్స్ ఫర్ యువర్ బ్లెస్సింగ్, రైట్? థ్యాంక్ గాడ్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్. ఇంకో క్వశ్చన్ ఉందా? లాస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్, టైం అయిపోయింది మనకు. ఓకే, దాంతో ప్రాబ్లం లేదు మనకు.
Does generational curses, అంటే curses across generations exist?
ఎవరు కర్స్ చేసింది? కర్స్ బై హూ? God doesn't curse his or father. Two questions. Nobody can curse generation except God. God doesn't curse. That's a logic, because his father.
Generational curses exist. If they are knowingly, why soul chooses the lives how to stop of these generational flow to the next soul? How adults karma?
అవన్నీ పక్కన పెట్టేస్తే కర్సెస్ అండ్ బ్లెస్సింగ్స్ టూ ఉన్నాయి కదా. ద సైంటిఫిక్ ఫ్యాక్ట్ ఐఎమ్ టెలింగ్ యూ, there are only two things: blessings and blessings in disguise. Blessing in disguise appears to be a curse. It's not curse. Next question, all these are made available by the kind God. Does any kind God, who is the father of all fathers, curse you unless curse is necessary? Next question. Remembering is later. If he gives you what is necessary for you indirectly, ఇది ఎక్కడి నుంచి వస్తుందంటే our failure to understand the role of dualities. You feel joy is opposite to sorrow. ఈ ఇల్యూషన్ నుంచి క్వశ్చన్స్ అన్నీ వస్తాయి. కర్స్ ఈజ్ నాట్ ఎ కర్స్, బ్లెస్సింగ్ ఇన్ డిస్గైజ్. If it is cursed by God, nobody else can curse except God. God's curse is a blessing in disguise. Blessing you all of you understand. Teardrop, blessing in disguise. Smile, blessing. Rainy season, blessing. Summer, blessing in disguise. So it's our failure to understand the inherent nature of the curse makes us question like this. So therefore, hug your curses, hug your blessings. Curse is not a curse once you know this. ఇక్కడ ఒకటే ప్రాబ్లం అంటే కర్స్ని యూ హేట్ చేసే టీయర్స్ తప్పించుకోకూడదు, అన్యాచురల్. బికాస్ ద సారో టీయర్స్ ఆల్సో హ్యావ్ బీన్ సెంట్ బై ద సేమ్ గాడ్ హూ హెస్ గివెన్ యూ స్మైల్స్ ఆల్ దీస్ డేస్, నాట్ ఎ డిఫరెంట్ పవర్. వెన్ ద సేమ్ ఫాదర్ గివ్స్ యూ దిస్, షుడ్ యూ నాట్ యాక్సెప్ట్? సో ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ దే ఆర్ ఇండైరెక్ట్ బ్లెస్సింగ్. సో బ్లెస్సింగ్ ఇన్ డిస్గైజ్, కర్స్ లాగా గణపతి వాంట్ అవాయిడ్. సో వాట్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు డూ ఈజ్ లవ్ సారో, then escape. Embrace and escape is the law. Don't hate it and embrace, escape. Reason ఏంటంటే embrace because he sent it. For example, you are dying, let us say you don't know swimming. ఒక ఈత రాని వాడిని ఈత వచ్చిన వాడిని స్విమ్మింగ్ పూల్ వేసామనుకోండి, ఇద్దరు కూడా చేతులు ఊపుతుంటారు, కాళ్ళు చేతులు, కానీ ఒకడు మునుగుతాడు, ఒక తేలుతాడు. చూసారు జాగ్రత్తగా? The person who doesn't know swimming also moves limbs vigorously, he gets drowned. If you carefully observe the movement of the hands, స్విమ్మర్ ఏం చేస్తాడంటే వాటర్ని ఇలా తన వైపు లాక్కుంటాడు. హీ హగ్స్ వాటర్ అండ్ కిక్స్ విత్ ద లిమ్స్. వీడేం ఈత రాని వాడు వాటర్ని ముంచుందని తోస్తూ పోతుంటాడు. కాబట్టి ద బీ దట్ రాబ్స్ ద ఫ్లవర్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్స్ పోలెన్ గ్రెయిన్ బ్లెస్సెస్ ఇట్. ద క్లౌడ్ దట్ బ్లాక్స్ ద సన్ విల్ బ్లెస్ యూ విత్ ద రెయిన్. దిట్స్ డ్యూయలిజం. అందుకని డ్యూయలిస్టిక్ నేచర్ ఆఫ్ యూనివర్స్ అర్థం అవుతే అది ఫండమెంటల్. ఈ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ అన్నీ అందులో వెళ్ళిపోతాయి. డ్యూయలిజం, హౌ దే ఆర్ బోత్ టియర్స్, డ్రాప్స్ అండ్ స్మైల్స్ ఆర్ నెససరీ అన్న విషయం తెలిసి ఉండాలి. దానికి అది కనుక తెలిస్తే టియర్ డ్రాప్ ఈజ్ లైక్ ఏ మదర్ క్యారింగ్ ద బేబీస్ ఆఫ్ స్మైల్స్ ఇన్ సైడ్. సమ్మర్ ఈజ్ అ ప్రెగ్నెంట్ లేడీ క్యారింగ్ ద సీడ్స్ ఆఫ్ రైనీ సీజన్. ఆ రకంగా వస్తుంది. స్లైట్లీ ఇట్ అండర్స్టాండ్ ద నేచర్ ఆఫ్ ద రియాలిటీ క్లియర్లీ. దేర్ ఫోర్ కర్స్ ఈజ్ నాట్ ఎ కర్స్. బేర్ ఇట్, దట్ బికమ్స్ ఎ స్మైల్. There's a teardrop, smile at it, that becomes a smile. Don't do anything. Both are necessary. While living, you die. While dying, you live. If I say my age is 60 years, it means 60 years of my life is dead. కాబట్టి problem is not death. But are you alive before problem? Before death? People die and die, If somebody dies, he's already dead, He's a moving skeleton. He needs only clinical confirmation of death. Do we really live? And you not only die, make others die around you. Your death hardly matters. First of all, before you die, try to live. Somebody asked R.W. Emerson. He's like our Vyasa Valmiki of USA. There's Harvard, there's a school of divinity. He delivered his first address. He's called a transcendentalist. Their philosophy is called transcendentalism. So one interviewer asked him, newspaper man, how old are you, sir? He said, 360 years old, my age is. అతను సరిగ్గా క్వశ్చన్ వినలేదేమో సార్, ఐఎమ్ ఆస్కింగ్ యువర్ ఏజ్. నా ఏజే చెప్తున్నాను. నా ఏజ్ 3 years, 360 years. ఆర్ యూ జోకింగ్? నో, ఐఎమ్ నాట్ జోకింగ్. ఐఎమ్ కన్ఫ్యూజ్డ్, కెన్ యూ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్? జనరల్గా మనం ఏం చేస్తాం మన లైఫ్లో 24 hours-లో 90% ఇలా గడిపిస్తాం వేస్ట్గా. నో ప్రాబ్లం. బ్యూటిఫుల్ మ్యూజిక్. Christ, we're all Christ, CRYIST. It should become CHRIST. Size, crucifixion is followed by resurrection. Like lubbed up of human heart kabatti. Crucifixion, resurrection, lubbed up of human heart. సో సార్ నాకు అర్థం కావడం లేదు, 360 years అంటే 24 hours-లో నిజంగా ఆనందంగా జీవించేది మనం ఒక 6 hours, 1/6. మిగతాది ఊక బతుకుతున్నామో జీవిస్తాం, ఏం తింటున్నామో తెలియదు, ఏం చేస్తున్నామో తెలియదు. వివేకానంద అనేవాడు, యూఆర్ మోర్ డెడ్ దాన్ అలైవ్ అని. ఆర్ యూ రిలైవ్ అలైవ్ వైబ్రెంట్లీ? మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఇస్ ఎగ్జిస్ట్, బతికేవాళ్ళు కానీ జీవించేవాళ్ళు తక్కువ. యూ ఎగ్జిస్ట్, యు ఆర్ నాట్ లివింగ్. లివింగ్ ఈజ్ డిఫరెంట్ ఫ్రమ్ మేకింగ్ లైఫ్. సమ్ పీపుల్ సెలబ్రేట్. యువర్ ఫీట్ ఆర్ కేపబుల్ నాట్ జస్ట్ రన్నింగ్ బట్ డ్యాన్స్, బట్ యువర్ జస్ట్ వాకింగ్, లింపింగ్. సిమిలర్లీ 24 hours యూ కెన్ ఫీల్ విత్ జాయ్, పీస్. అది ఒక 5 అనుకున్నాం అంటే 1/6 మనం ఉండేది. ఐ హ్యావ్ లివ్డ్ ఎవ్రీ అవర్ ఆఫ్ మై లైఫ్ లైక్ దట్. Therefore, I am now 60 into 6. 360 my age is it. And there is a tomb somewhere, Here lies a person who died when he was alive. There is a written on the tomb. But are we really alive? We die and die and die, After when you live richly, death becomes a joke, a delightful entry into some other door to immortality, you know. You start a novel, enjoy every page, come to the end of it, close it with the satisfaction of having read it, you know. Enjoy every day of your life. Death is like closing the book with the satisfaction of having lived. You joyously make an exit, you know. So that way, it's a art of living and science of living, two things are there. Mary is busy with only art of living. It's more of science of living than art of living. Therefore, life is a source of confusion. Art is necessary, science is necessary. There's an apple, let us say. What is really useful is the content of it, you know, that's made by science, you know. The nutritious food that's inside the apple is really useful for us. That's done the art dwara, the science dwara. But it's decorated beautifully, the shape, color, taste. Otherwise, you don't eat it, you know. That is art, you know. So what really takes care of us is the content of it. It's called science of it, you know. What makes us eat is art of it. Beautiful color, beautiful shape, beautiful taste. Otherwise, you don't eat it, you know. So most of us, they're busy with art of living, not followed by science of living, science of life, you know. Danto confusions continues, sorrows continues. Otherwise, it's an eternal dance, you know. Every morning, wake up from the bed as if you have taken LSD. L means laughing. Laugh, 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 you know. Last D ante dancing. Yes, ante singing, you know. Laugh, sing and dance. Vaadu batukunnavaadu. Gaali peelchevaadu ante batukum kaadu. Can you live vibrantly, celebrate life? Okay, if you do that, nothing like it, you know. Dani kora pedda achievements akkarledu. Ordinary things are enough, you know. All that you really need to be happy is already available. Somebody asked, to be happy, what should you do? Nothing. Just try to know what you have already now. We're blind to what you have. Open your eyes what you don't have, which doesn't mean anything, you know. That was slightly difficult art, but essential art, you know. So thank you all for your love, ineffable love.
నాగేశ్వరరావు గారు కాన్సెప్ట్ కింద ఒక క్వశ్చన్ అడిగారు పాసిబుల్.
నాగేశ్వరరావు గారు అడిగారా?
జాగర్లో కూడా నాగేశ్వరరావు రావు గారు వీరు పావని గారు ఫాదర్.
చెప్పండి బ్రీఫ్గా.
హౌ టు కంట్రోల్ ఇరిటేషన్.
ఇరిటేషనా? ఇరిటేషన్ పాసిబుల్ త్రూ ఇరిటెంట్, రైట్? ఒక వ్యక్తి ఇరిటేట్ చేశాడు. సింపుల్గా ఆ ఇరిటేషన్ అన్నది ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్, ఈజ్ అ డూయరా ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్. ఇరిటేషన్ త్రూ వర్డ్స్ కదా, త్రూ డీడ్స్ కదా, త్రూ స్పీచ్ కదా. ఈ బిహేవియర్ మొత్తం కూడా జెనెటికలీ సీటెడ్, ఇర్రిట్రీవబులీ, ఎన్వైరన్మెంటల్ కండిషన్డ్. అంటే అతను చెప్పిందల్లా ఈజ్ అ బయాలజికల్ పప్పెట్ ఇన్ ద హ్యాండ్స్ ఆఫ్ బయాలజీ. ఈజ్ సైకలాజికల్ హ్యాండిక్యాప్డ్, మెంటల్ హ్యాండిక్యాప్డ్ అని తెలిస్తే కుంటివాడు మీ పైన పడి నాలుగు మీకు దెబ్బలు ఫ్రాక్చర్ అయితే మీ పైన పడి కూడా కుంటివాడి పైన కోపం రాదు. హీఈస్ ఎమోషనల్ లింపింగ్, యు నో. హీ ఫెయిల్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ యూ. ఆర్ నాట్ ఎమోషనలీ రిచ్. And his ignorance is rooted in genes. What do you say? If somebody throws a stone at you, do you blame the stone, you know? Once you know it, the psychological source, there is a spiritual solution, difficult to understand. Even the bad child is also son of good God. Any doubt? మీకు ఇద్దరు పిల్లకాయలు ఉన్నారు. ఒక వ్యక్తి ఇంకో వ్యక్తిని కొడుతున్నాడు, వీడు ఆనందంగా భరిస్తున్నాడు తిరిగి కొట్టనట్లు. మీకు యాజ్ అ ఫాదర్ ఎవరిపైన ఎక్కువ ప్రేమ ఉంటుంది? కొట్టబడిన వాడిపైన కదా. So the one who is beaten up earns God's love. Irritated కాబట్టి you are denied your brother's love. That is greater than this. You will express somewhere or the other. Thank God somebody irritated you, keep quiet, you know. If you hit back, God over. కాబట్టి I feel jealous of all the people who are irritated, you know. Thank God you are irritated. You have a chance to invite God's grace, you know.
Group photography.
అమ్మయ్య ఏదో చేయండి, నా పని అయిపోయింది.
అయిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ కూర్చోరా.